How do we know when we're recording those, Stephen?
I don't know. Maybe our
You
whole
said you were a podcaster,
maybe our
Stephen.
whole lives have been a recording. This is like
Well, everyone, welcome to the belated issue series
episode.
episode. You like the word episode,
I like episode's good just because I don't know
right?
what I don't know covers. It seems
Yeah,
to cover all the important shit.
exactly. So we are
Summum bonum.
Yep.
Summum bonum.
Someone's
Summum
boner.
bonum.
Someone's boner.
someone's boner, which I think is well. Is someone's boner the ultimate good? I guess it depends
Depending
on
on
whose
who
boner.
who you're talking
Yeah.
to,
Right.
that is the
Okay.
ultimate good for some people.
Okay,
But,
fantastic.
Yeah,
Right.
it is weird wearing headphones and kind of hearing myself in a microphoned way as opposed to just you or the other person.
Yes.
But it really makes me feel like this is for real. This is real
Yeah.
shit we're doing here.
You're like Dr. Johnny Fever at this point.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah! I'm gonna go ahead and open up my new bottle
Gordon.
of Gordon's gin.
I'm going to drink this can that has tinfoil over it,
Oh, okay.
or
'Cause
aluminum foil, as some
it
people call
is
it.
a root beer. I don't know.
No, you keep saying that, but it's not a root beer. Oh no, I think you guessed Dr. Pepper at one point.
Dr. Pep. I don't know. Is it a sody pop or is it an alcoholic beverage?
No. Oh, Sody Pop, Texas guy. That was so cute. It is not an alcoholic beverage. It is a flavored. I'm not even going to say what it is.
A flavored like a sparkling
No,
water.
it's right. Yeah, it's sparkling water.
Yeah.
It's a moonshine that I've made in a distillery in the other room.
That would be great if you did.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm just going to go ahead and hold it up and then never
Yeah.
take a drink of it like the whole time.
For me,
know?
it's cold gin time
I'm
again.
again. Oh, good. We're going to start off on the topic of Kiss.
Oh, we should.
Yeah, yeah, and that is an Ace tune, correct?
Yeah, but he didn't sing it
No, he did not.
because he was weird about singing in the beginning.
Right.
And it makes sense because he's not an amazing singer, but when he does his thing, and I think he does his thing very well. You know,
I agree. Yeah. In fact, I'm going to say, as it turns out, he has my favorite of voices.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I love that band, Sweet.
the sweet.
The Sweet. Yeah. And I think he was really into that band. He must have
Oh,
been really
yeah.
into that band.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I put some sparkling water in my gin.
Oh, what's the red line about?
This
On
is
your
this is a glass that I found at a thrift shop.
And it's not, is it supposed to be Christmas? Is that peppermint?
No, I don't know. I thought it looked cool, and it was a bigger size glass that because
Sure.
the ones I have are real small,
Dinky. Don't want any of that.
and I hate just getting up and refilling drinks all the fucking time. So this way I can
Right.
fill it up. You know,
Right.
But,
well, fantastic.
yeah. So someone's boner this is a new episode.
Exactly. Someone's bonum. I still haven't taken a drink. I've tried a couple times, and I'm just gonna.
You're literally it's
I
literally
think
like
of something to say. Right.
in the movies where people are fake eating and they're not really
Right.
putting it in their mouth.
Okay, so weird you should say that because I watched The Truman Show with my daughter today because she loves that movie and she was home and she's not been feeling well, you know, because there's a lot of stuff going around and there's a scene where they have pizza in the moon. You know how they live in the moon on the Truman Show? Have you ever seen The Truman Show?
They live on the moon.
Yeah, there's the control center, the camera control center
Yes.
is in the moon.
Yes.
Yeah. And so they have pizza up there or whatever. And there's a scene where this guy gets a piece of pizza and he goes,
Oh, okay.
and then he puts the pizza down, but there's no pizza goes in his mouth.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And I also love that no one's suitcase ever has anything in it in a movie. And I'm going to say that the obligatory cup of coffee
Oh,
never has anything in it.
Don't get me
And you have to
started.
Right. Oh, you don't like that one?
Well, no, the worst thing is just the fake drinking. I'm like, why can't you put water in it? But the worst thing is when there are shows where they literally just plop it down on the table and you
Yeah.
and I'm like, there's clearly nothing in that glass,
Right.
and it's now taken me out of the story. So thank you for that.
Now I don't even believe that robots with laser guns are real.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, for a while you had me, you know.
Yeah,
and then here's the other one: fucking brushing your teeth with no toothpaste.
Yeah. I mean, that doesn't bother me as much because I honestly don't want to watch anyone brush their teeth anyway. So whenever that happens in a movie, I'm like, was that necessary? We're not showing them taking a shit. Why do we have to show them brushing their teeth?
And that's another thing too. No one uses the bathroom in movies unless they're going out someplace by themselves to get murdered by the guy with the axe or whatever. That's about the only thing. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah, the only time they go to the bathroom is if the bathroom has something to do with the story, or them going to the bathroom has something to do with the story. Right. Otherwise, we don't ever see that.
We don't ever see it. And then I was thinking, like Lord of the Rings and stuff. When you got a 10,000 orc army, they got to be shitting all over the place, right?
Yeah, but they probably just do it in their shorts, or their pants.
Because they're orcs or whatever.
I don't know.
What about the dwarves? The dwarves got all that stuff on. All those guys never once did Aragon or whatever their name is. The elf. I guess elves probably don't poop. I'm assuming.
I don't know.
But I think dwarves and humans.
You're going into an area of movies that I don't know anything about, and so I can't really help.
I'll back out.
But if you want to stay nerd related, and let's talk about like early Star Wars, I can get on with that because I know those first three movies really well. No bathrooms. I don't remember. They have a trash compactor, but they don't have any bathrooms that I remember anybody going to.
If I remember correctly, the first time that poop is introduced into Star Wars is when Jar Jar Binks steps in some poop.
He does.
In the city. I think he calls it poodoo. Oh, poodoo. Or something like that.
I don't know. Everything was okie dokie with the brisky morning munchies.
Miss a Jedi? That's the weirdest. That was the weirdest ad. That guy.
That movie. It was funny because when that movie came out, like I was still a massive Star Wars fan.
Yes.
And so I went to see it and I was really disappointed and I didn't really like it except for like a few little moments here and there.
Right.
But then like a week or two later, I was hanging out with one of my friends and he's like, let's get really fucking stoned and go see it again.
Okay.
And we did, and we loved it.
It's great, isn't it? It's great. It's great.
Because it made all of the other parts that I didn't like more enjoyable, but I still enjoyed like the pod race and the lightsaber fight at the end.
Yes.
And, I still enjoyed all of that. But then all of the funny, stupid lines in the movie, I'm just like, oh, this guy, George Lucas was just high as hell when he wrote this. And he's just like, everyone's going to know this is funny. Oh,
right. They're going to get it.
They're not all smoking.
No,
they should be.
Yeah.
I'm George Lucas.
And everyone should be high.
Yeah.
Not since Bob Dylan has someone announced that everyone should be stoned.
You know what I'm going to do in order to do like a what do you call that? God damn it. It's now my brain's not working.
Joint.
No, it's not related to those. It's not related to those. When you trick somebody into watching your video or your content, it's called
duping.
Like a bait. I don't know.
Anyway, okay.
So I'm
clickbait.
So now I can, without actually being totally clickbaity, I can actually call this episode "We Talk About Star Wars."
Nice.
And then everybody's gonna be like, "We're on board with this," and then and then the Star Wars conversation ends now when we start talking about. Something. I'm just kidding. We can talk.
Well, okay. Look, we might as well just mention Star Wars since we both have beards.
I loved. Yeah, that's true.
So we should at least talk about Star Wars.
Star Wars was huge for me when I was a kid. But of course, when I was a kid, two movies had. Well, I mean, when I was born, one movie had come out already, and then Empire came out in '80, and then I saw. Yep. Return of the Jedi in the theater. I remember that's an early memory of mine. Is seeing Return of the Jedi. But so it was a big deal for me. And in the 90s, I don't know if you remember this, being into Star Wars was niche. Like it was
for sure it was.
100%. When we saw Clerks and they were talking about Star Wars and Clerks, we're like, whoa, they're talking about Star Wars? Who the fuck does that? We do that. So, but then there was two things in a row that ruined it for me.
Okay.
Number one, the special editions of the movies. I went to the movie theater to see the special edition.
Oh, the new effects? Those new effects?
I went to the movie to see the special edition of A New Hope, the first one.
Yeah.
And I just remember I just thought it was awful.
No, it's horrible.
And trust me, and I know now it's really cool to say this, when you're talking about this, but the moment we saw fucking Greedo shoot at Han before, my God, I was about to fucking leave the theater because I was just like, why would they do that? They literally spent money to make a scene worse.
Right.
Fuck that.
Because that was the cool part. That was a little bit of a view into who Han Solo was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, no, sure.
You don't know if you can trust Han Solo. You just met him.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
Sorry
why it was
about
cool.
the mess.
Yeah.
Sorry about the mess.
Yeah.
Right.
That was fucking hardcore. I love that. But anyway, I ended up seeing all three of the special editions just because I wanted to know what they fucked up. And I left that going, well, and a little later on, I was just like, well, maybe when they launch these new movies, maybe it'll bring me back in. And it just really did. It didn't. Like it. I even saw, when everybody told me to go see Force Awakens when it came out.
Okay.
And I saw that and I enjoyed it. But then I immediately never thought about it again. And I saw Rogue One in the theater and I really liked Rogue One.
Okay.
But that was it. But the problem is that the disconnect between me and Star Wars and the fact that every boring ass person in the world is now a Star Wars fan. I'm just like, you know what? They don't need me anymore. They don't need
No, they
me.
don't need you.
You're
not the target demographic.
I'm definitely not. I'm not
you're out.
I'm not a Disney adult, so I don't I don't get into that stuff.
A Disney adult.
But
I'm not a Mickey grown up. I'm not a Donald Duck. Right? Yeah, I don't. Right? Yeah.
I don't care about Disney movies. I don't, and Star Wars stuff. Even the stuff that looks good. Like I'll see a clip from some new Star Wars related show, and I'll go, looks pretty cool. But I don't have the time to catch up on all of that stuff. Same thing with the superhero movies. I've seen a handful of them, but I don't have. I listen to so much fucking music, and my life is so filled with music that I don't have the time to catch up on things like that. So the fact that a movie comes out and it looks like it might be good, I go, well, I haven't seen all these other Marvel movies, so I'm sure it's going to have all this shit in it that I'm not going to understand.
Right.
And
Easter eggs, as they call them.
Yeah, and so I've backed away from that whole world. I even collected comic books for a little while too. Like I was trying to like be involved in like quote unquote nerd culture, but it just I realized that I need to fully embrace the fact that music is my obsession and will always be my obsession. Okay, and I can't be the guy that knows about everything. So I gave that away.
Because then you would be God.
That's true.
Right?
God knows all the Marvel
right.
movies.
All of them.
Yeah.
He wrote them.
Yeah, he did. I guess really he did because he puts the thoughts in the heads.
Boom.
And then the movies get made. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty incredible. So I would like to say that I did not know I did this, but I think I just baited you into talking about my two favorite subjects, Kiss and Star Wars. We have mentioned both of them.
I'll talk about Kiss all day.
Oh, dude, right?
Speaking of Kiss and Star Wars, Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. That's what that was supposed to be. It was supposed to be, and it was not.
Didn't work out.
It's really fun though, but it's just
yes, it is.
It's
bad though. It's bad though.
Yeah, but
it's great, but it's bad.
It's great, but it's bad. But there are really fun bad movies. In fact, some of my favorite movies are movies that if somebody said that movie's bad, I'd be like, and it's awesome.
Really bad. Yeah, I've seen it 12 times.
Yeah, I can recite
every time I see it.
Every part of the movie, I can recite it, but I agree, it's pretty bad.
Super. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Well, now I think the thing that happened to me is like I was alive when Star Wars came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's pictures of me in a Star Wars t-shirt that I got at a shopping mall and a bucket of garbage can full of slime. You
Oh.
know what I mean? I got slime, I got Star Wars, And when I moved to my new house, when my dad got a job transfer and we moved across town in Topeka, big deal in Topeka, Kansas. So
Nice.
well, we moved in.
All
There
I,
was like
all
a
I know
neighborhood.
about Topeka, Kansas is that's where they stopped for the house party in the movie Almost Famous.
That's a great scene.
Yeah.
We're Topeka people, dude. We're Topeka people. And I'm like, yes, we are. That is exactly what it was. Didn't he have that wicked cool acid trip and jump off the house into the pool and that whole thing? His mind was opened in that scene. Dude, I love that movie.
You can tell Rolling Stone magazines that my last words were, I'm on drugs.
I'm on drugs. Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah.
We're Topeka people. Yeah. Dude, so that if you are at that, especially at that time period, that was exactly what was
That would have, what, 74, 73 is when that was set? Something like that? Yeah.
Yes, because Star Wars came out, what, 75,
77.
70. Well, no, dude. I feel like, okay, because the bicentennial was like a big deal when I was a kid, and they had the bicentennial train that went through all the cities on the Amtrak, and you could go down as like a museum on a train, and it had all this cool, like, basically, what was that book everyone used to read? Guinness Book of World Records. It was kind of like oddities and things that had happened in our society, and I got really sold on America. I was like super into it, and I went home and I decorated my room in red, white, and blue. And this is back when you could get wallpaper, and I had those pull-down blinds, and I drew these Revolutionary War murals on them and shit, and I was all into it and stuff. It was awesome. That was really great. That was the time I really loved America. Like America got me right then. And then I met these fourth graders because I'm in second grade, right?
Yeah.
And they're into like, they all have stereos in their room, which is not something that I had yet. You know what I mean? Like a stereo in the room, and you could go in the room. They had like Alice Cooper and Black Sabbath. This is me putting the needle on the record. So we're sitting in there, and I remember being kind of freaked out by that stuff. But when Kiss came on for some reason, and you go, those albums, and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like that was.
Do you remember the first Kiss album you heard? Do you remember what it was?
It was the first Kiss album I heard was that first one with Strutter with their faces.
Okay.
I think it's just called Kiss, right?
It's a hell of an album. Yeah. Yeah. It's just Kiss.
Yes. But at the time, when I went to the record store, I bought. And this is another thing too, dude. Record stores, man. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, they still have them today. You can go to them.
I know, but they're not like what they were.
Oh, I'm aware. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. When we've probably lamented about this before, but when I moved to my house, I could go up the block and then not cross the street, go up to this other corner, because behind our houses was like a row of stores in this like Adobe looking kind of, I don't know, mission style white, with the terracotta tiles and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And right on the corner was this place called Paul's Records and Tape. And so I'm on my skateboard, because of course that's the other thing you got was slime and Star Wars shirts or whatever. And I go up there and I go in there, and it was like, there's like incense and the whole thing. This one was less a head shop than a lot of the other, stores were in Topeka at the time. But it was like there was these dudes in there, and I thought they were men, but they were probably teenagers, right? I'm in like second or third grade or whatever, and they seemed really cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And their wall looked just like that in the back of the store, like yours. And then they had those turntables with the headphones, and you could go in, find any fucking record, and sit down and just listen to it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Like and then you could hear what they were playing, and you could be like, hey, that's cool. What's that? And and then you're like finding the Roxy Music album covers with the fucking naked ladies on them and stuff. And it's like,
naked children.
Well, no, the Roxy Music.
Isn't that one? Don't they have? Oh no, those are not children. Those are they seem young to me, but I'm also
well, they're young ladies. If you want to, you should do one of those things where it goes ting, and you could pull up the Roxy Music album cover. It's the one I'm talking about. The ladies are in the see-through clothes.
Yeah, now I know what you're talking about. I don't know why I got that mixed up. I think there's another album cover I'm thinking of.
Naked children.
with two ladies on the cover, but they seem very young. He's probably a
Well,
German
you know
band.
what? At 57, they were fucking young. But
Yeah.
when I was in third grade or whatever, that was the shit. Like I wanted the 70s when I was a kid to be around forever. I wanted to grow up and live in the 70s.
Yeah.
But I grew up and I lived in the 80s and the 90s, which is fine. It was fine. But it was not sideburns and muscle cars and like just, everything smelled like cigarettes.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know. It was really awesome. That world was really awesome. But the record store was the coolest place in the entire world. So I
Yeah.
go in there with my lawn mowing money and my mom because she's not going to let me go in there and buy a record by myself. So I go to K and I go, wham, and I pulled up Destroyer and I was like, this, because I hadn't heard that one.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I'm going to get the one that I haven't heard, none of my friends have, or that these guys didn't play for me yet. And so, because that album cover is the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is
great.
the best, right? It's like the best.
It's not my favorite. I think Love Gun's my favorite Kiss
that's
album
great.
cover. But yeah.
Right. Well, I know because so do you think they improved on the Destroyer theme?
No, I just think the actual artwork is better. Like it looks cooler. I like the color scheme better on Love Gun than I do on Destroyer. But
Okay. And this is going to be weird to say, but the throngs of white-faced painted booby ladies that are all like trying
Yeah.
to crawl up and get them or whatever, they're all like, they all want Kiss real bad or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a little bit, it took it out of just being Kiss because up until then they'd only been them on the album covers.
well, yeah, I guess that's true. And because if you flip Hotter Than Hell over,
Yes.
there's other people.
That
There's
was
women.
that picture. Those were crazy fucking weird, right? Like,
Yeah.
as a kid, I remember just looking at those. Isn't like Paul Stanley licking somebody?
There's a lot going on the back cover of that album.
Yeah, but Ace is sitting in that silver suit that I've never seen him play in or whatever. But remember, he's on that like table that looks like a lab table or whatever. Dude, that band was magic at
Yeah.
that period of time. That band could do no wrong. But yeah, so I bought Destroyer. That was the one. So what was the first one? No, wait, no, you've already said what was the first one you bought. You bought you bought the 80s one.
Not the first one I bought. The first one I heard because I went. So my introduction to Kiss went like this. It was very weird.
Okay.
I went after school. This was in, I believe, the third grade.
Okay.
A friend lived really close to the school. We
So
went
the
over there.
same time
We went over to
Third
his house, and if I remember right, this was the series of events.
Okay.
His brother, who wasn't there, had Kiss Exposed, the VHS.
Yep.
Where it's like the mockumentary kind of thing where they're acting
It's the
like
one
they're,
you played on the watching.
Yeah, which got removed for
I
copyright.
know. I'm
issues.
so sad. That was a great vid. Dude.
Yeah, anyway, so
Okay.
we watched that, and I just remember just thinking, this is so cool. And then I guess his older brother had Crazy Nights on vinyl, and I think that he just said, "Here, just borrow it." So it was
really?
it was vinyl. I borrowed Crazy Nights from my friend's brother, and I went and listened to it, and it didn't really click with me because I'm like, I like this, but I like some of those songs we were hearing on that video because there's old footage on Exposed, and so I heard that. So that was my introduction to actually hearing like a Kiss album. But then I went to the store, with my mom like I normally did, and I was like, well, I want to get something by Kiss, and I found an album that had like shitloads of songs, and it was called Double Platinum.
Yes.
And so I bought Double Platinum, and that was the first one I bought. So my real, that was all old school stuff, except for you had like the Strutter 78 where they put the disco beat behind it and everything.
Right.
But yeah, so that was the beginning of that.
And I was Made for Loving You was on that too, right?
No,
that was on Dynasty. That was the album that came out right
after. So Double Platinum came out, and then Dynasty the next year.
Oh,
I think
man,
70.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it was the other way around, but that's okay. Because I've been wrong a lot. Like I'm wrong all the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure 78 was that, and then Dynasty was 79.
Okay.
They were a very busy band Because if you think about
for sure.
so they not only did they put out a bunch of albums all in a row anyway, but
Right.
in the years between like 77 and 79, just think about this: 77 and 79, Love Gun, all 4 solo albums, Alive 2, Double Platinum,
Yes.
Dynasty, like all of us, all that shit.
Yes.
They were
Yes.
fucking busy, and
Right.
and I love them for it. So
And so, what are the 3 albums in originals? Did you ever see that?
yeah, with the like explosion on the cover or whatever.
Yeah, that's it's Dress to Kill, Kiss, and it's
Hotter
not
Than Hell.
Rock and Roll Over.
Hotter Than Hell, isn't it? Hotter Than Hell?
Hotter Than Hell.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Because that was
Hotter
the
Than
first
Hell.
3: Kiss, Hotter Than Hell, and Dress to Kill.
Yes. Yeah.
Which was their 3 like pre-blow up albums.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because Alive was the big, obviously the big thing. Oh, by the way, it just so happens that I have this sitting right here. Kiss Alive 3.
Kiss Alive 3. That
because
has
like,
God gave. Does that have God gave rock and roll to you?
hell yeah, it does. But because like I on the weekends, I literally like have a playlist of what I want to listen to record wise over the weekend.
Sure. Yes.
And so like that's one that I want to listen to. So I just have it ready to go. Because I'm really nerdy like that. Leading up to the weekend, I literally have a note in my notes app that when I think of something, I go, oh, I want to hear this, and I'll put it in the notes. And I'm so nerdy that like on Friday, and while I'm working in the afternoon, I'll pull all the ones that I want to listen to out. And
look
just
at
like,
you!
I just get that's what I'm trying to say. Like when I tell you I'm obsessed with music, I am not even fucking joking. Like it is everything about my life. Even when I take a little break and I'm doing something else, my brain is all like, okay, later on I'm going to listen to these records, or I'm going to listen to this band to do Cranked and Ranked, or I'm going to get ready for a radio show, or whatever the fuck I'm doing. Like my brain is constantly like wanting to not only listen to music, but I'm also like, I love hearing new shit. Like, and it's weird because people will say that when you get older, you don't really care that much about newer music. Right. And I think that may be true for normal people, but I am not normal. I am,
you're abnormal.
Yeah. I am.
Yeah, Steven, you're abnormal.
I was trying to, what was I saying? I was saying something to my wife earlier, and I don't remember what exactly I was saying, but I was like, like I'm weird. I'm weird about some things. And she goes, you're weird about a lot of things.
A lot of things. Yeah, you're weird about a lot of things, Steven. Yeah.
Oh, it's because we were driving in the car, and I had the Old Head Radio, a little plug for Old Head Radio. Go to the App Store and download it. But anyway, we're playing it in the car, and like the feed from Live 365, sometimes the artwork doesn't update correctly or doesn't update quickly enough.
Okay.
And I was in the car, and you see the little display in the car, and a song is playing, and then the artwork is not updating, and so like I keep restarting it to see if it will update, and I'm like, I'm sorry, babe, I can't listen to this song with the wrong artwork showing.
It makes it look like that's my fault.
Yeah.
And it's not my fault.
Well,
I know what the real artwork is.
Either way.
Yeah, sure.
I even get really weird when here's how obsessive I am about stuff especially with my radio station. Like I'll have music on there, and if there's like a newer remix version of a song, I have to have the original mix of the song. Same. And if there's a weird updated artwork, I have to find the original artwork to go there. Same. And the hardest thing for me is that I have like B-sides and stuff that I play on the station. I go and search for the original single artwork of what it was on. Because I'm just like, you know what? I know that some people see that and appreciate it, but most don't give a shit.
And I think this is why you didn't like the new scenes in Star Wars.
I think you're right.
It was remixed.
But but I don't know if you know that movie that well, but the first Star Wars movie for me is like a song. Like
I know that movie?
The music, the dialogue, the sound effects, I've memorized how that movie goes. And so there's only a few movies that I can say are like that, where I've watched them enough over my life that when something like is weird and doesn't fit, I go, this is not right. It's supposed to go, hey, that's what's supposed to happen there. or that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That was speaking of that, back to Star Wars. The thing that pissed me off more than anything in the special edition of Return of the Jedi, they fucking removed the Yub Yub song.
What's with that?
Like, and it was like an even worse song. Like that song is already kind of dorky and stupid as it is. Right. But then they put a worse song in there.
Yeah. Don't do it.
I'm just like, oh God, I'm so mad. I'm still so mad. I'm like that. Right. Did you ever see Spaced, that old television show with like Edgar Wright? That he did before they did Shaun of the Dead and those movies. They did a British TV show called Spaced.
Okay.
And it's essentially a show about a guy and a girl who end up meeting each other just because they need roommates, because they need to get a flat that's like got
I
a
think
good.
I did see this.
And then, like Edgar Wright's not Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg's character works in a comic book store, and one of his big character things is that he can't get over how bad the Phantom Menace was, and he's like, "You're just gonna have to let it go." he can't get over how bad the Phantom Menace was.
Yeah. Well, dude,
Star Wars.
Yeah. So here's the deal.
Star Wars. Anyway.
That movie went right into my brain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there'd been none of that at all. And then Star Wars happened. Yeah. So I'm in the theater, and it used to be when you had to get a T-shirt at the mall. It was at that place with the press.
T-shirts Plus.
You had to pick out
in Austin, it was called T-shirts Plus, and I remember. Oh God, you unlocked a memory. Boom! I love this.
Nice.
Went to go see Raiders of the Lost Ark in the theater.
Yeah, you did. Yes, you did.
And still one of my favorite movies. And it was in the theater in the mall by my house. Yeah, and so once we left that movie, I was like, Mom, I have to go get a Raiders of the Lost Ark T-shirt. So we went, and they pressed the thing. I had an ET one that was pressed, and I had nice. Raiders. I had what was it? There was another one that I had too. I don't remember. Anyway, but Raiders is another one that is in my head like a song, and it's just amazing. See, that's why like I'm like a massive Harrison Ford fan.
Okay.
Just because like he's so important to my childhood, because he was just, every movie he was in was fucking awesome. And it was, and then when I got a little bit older and he was in different movies, and I was like, oh, he can like act and stuff. And like, he isn't just an action guy. Like this guy fucking rules. And now he's in that show Shrinking. I don't know if you've seen that show. I love that show. Yeah, I'm into it. It's a little awkward. The dialogue's a little awkward because I'm always like, people don't talk like that. But,
no, they don't talk like that. It's a joke every time.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very quick. They're very quick. Right. But even now, like Harrison Ford, I'm just like, the dude is, what is he, 85? I have no idea. Is he 90? He's older than you think he is.
Oh, of course he is. But he was old then.
Yeah, but like,
he was old in Star Wars. He was older than everybody there, right? He'd already had a life. He was a carpenter and shit.
I think he was already 30 in Star Wars. Sure, I don't know. All I know is that he just shows up on screen, and I'm just like, is there any other actor that's like that, where he shows up and you're just like, oh, fucking Harrison Ford. Like, he just nails it.
Right.
And
Tom Cruise. I just wanted to say it.
My wife loves Tom Cruise, and like, and she always says like, look, I know that he's crazy and involved in some awful shit, but I love his movies. And I'm like, you know what? I love a lot of his movies too, so I understand.
Yeah, yeah. I think I didn't really fall for him until Magnolia.
That's that's an interesting movie talk on someone's bottom.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Magnolia is one of those movies that I remember watching it when it came out. And that's one of those movies where like another person would see it and they would say, this is the most self-indulgent movie I've ever seen. And I would say like, yeah.
totally.
like the director,
Yeah.
like they just gave him final cut of the movie, and he went, "Are you sure about that?"
Well, that was P.T. Anderson, right? It's
P.T. Anderson. That was his like third movie, I think.
Dude.
I was so
good.
it's
So
weird that
good.
we're getting on this tangent because, like,
Okay.
you know how it's what it's like because you're 10 years older than me, but you live a life to where you go through these periods,
Yes.
and it feels like another life. You know,
totally.
So I have another life that was around the early 2000s where I for a minute or two was into film. I took film class. I took a little bit of college. I didn't graduate, but I took a film class, and I started to be really interested in what makes movies look good to me.
Right.
Like, what is it that I like aesthetically about movies? And that so happened to be around the time that P.T. Anderson was really blowing up.
Yeah.
And so Magnolia was a big deal. But then, like I said, I go through all these phases where like music just grabs me by the fucking collar and says, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing? There's like 20 albums you need to go listen to." But I do have that experience. I have the experience of like going through my film bro phase,
Well, the music in Magnolia was good, right? Amy Mann and stuff.
Amy Mann.
Some good shit in that movie.
Yeah.
People either love or hate that movie. And I remember that movie Crash came out after Magnolia, and I was like, this is a fucking shot for shot ripoff of Magnolia. I could not believe how close. And I was like, if something weird falls out of the sky at the end of this movie, I'm gonna fucking hate this movie. And then it did, and I'm like, you goddamn.
Yeah. It also Crash was very heavy-handed. Like I remember,
so mad.
it felt like if somebody took a TV movie of the week, but then made it in Hollywood.
Yes.
I'm just like, because the acting wasn't bad, but
acting wasn't bad.
But I'm just like, something about this feels too like I'm being spoon fed how I'm supposed to feel about things.
Yep.
And
it was all the formula and none of the content of Magnolia.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. Dude. And I mean, and it was whatever. We don't want to talk negative here on Summum Bonum.
We can
We can talk
negative, but there's a way to do it that I've figured out, which is like, you have to while you're giving an opinion, you have to be open to the fact that it is just an opinion, and other people see and hear things in different ways than you do, and their experience is different than yours is. So so if somebody saw Crash and didn't see Magnolia for like 20 years,
would have loved it.
They'd be like, yeah, but I saw Crash first, and I saw it at a time where I was going through a rough time, and it was a really uplifting movie for me, or whatever it was. So
it won awards. The movie won awards.
So so that's the thing. That's why I hate it when anybody says like you're supposed to like or not like this movie, this album, whatever, because I'm just like, fuck you. You don't know what went on in somebody's life. So
okay. Can I say something about what you just said? And this is what, first of all, about chapters of our lives. I had a whole life, and then I met you. And now I'm in this chapter. Yeah. I'm in the post old head world right now as well.
I love it.
It's awesome.
It's all uphill from here.
Well, that's okay, because I enjoy a struggle. Don't you love the struggle? You gotta, like Twisted Sister, you gotta stay hungry. You know what I'm saying? So that was Twisted Sister, right?
That was their break. That was the big breakthrough album.
Right.
We're not gonna take it.
Take it. Great, right? That guy who was in Animal House was in that video. Niedermeyer.
What do you want to do with your
life? Yeah. So this is really what you say, a lot of fascinating things, and thank you very much for allowing me to ride on your coattails. This is a nice train. This is a nice train to have jumped. So thank you very much. So, but I was, we've discussed that it would be nice if we got more than 121 views on these videos. You know
we will on this one, because it's going to be called "We Talk About Star Wars."
And then I got an iron-on T-shirt that had R2-D2 and C-3PO.
I'm just kidding.
Glitter,
it's gonna be called We Talk About Magnolia. That's what it's gonna be called. Nobody's gonna watch it.
Nobody's gonna. P.T. Anderson, best director.
Yeah.
So we
Yes.
discussed stuff and we had some talks. I think it's nice to have talks with you. You're a good person to talk to. I realized that I don't know about your world. You are one of
Oh,
these people
yeah.
who you somehow came to our group in the
Yeah.
past, but you and certainly you and I have talked about enough bands that you and I have listened to that were part of my existence.
Yeah.
But you have an entire universe, right, of bands that I don't know anything about, and I think it's actually your bread and butter, right? The thrash metal stuff, the heavy stuff,
When you're talking old school, like OG thrash metal, then yes. Newer thrash metal, I like some of it, but not a lot of it. What?
Okay. So I found that thrash documentary
Get
after
Thrashed.
I watched. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, the one I had was I sent you a link to something, and you were like, "This movie just looks like it stole all the shit from this movie."
Well, they
And you
did.
sent
They
me-
took interviews from that other movie and put it
Well,
in that movie.
No, but it was. I think that was the deal. I went back and watched that because I really enjoyed that movie about Don Letts. It's called Inside the Music is the name of the channel. And you know Don Letts at all? If I say the name Don Letts, do you know who that is?
Nope.
The long and short of it is he was in BAD. Are you familiar with BAD at
Big
all?
Audio Dynamite?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mick Jones's other band. Okay, he was in that band, and he was in actually a lot of different stuff, and he was a DJ at punk clubs during the 76, 77. So he was there
Yeah.
like when it was happening, and he's kind of a tastemaker, and he worked in some of those shops and stuff that sold all that punk gear and shit in the 70s, and he's a very cool dude, and he's directed a lot of videos, and one of the videos he directed was fucking Rats Round and Round.
Oh, with Milton Berle.
Yes, Don Letts.
Yeah.
Right? So I watched this. A friend of mine sent me a link to that, and I really enjoyed it. And then I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. This is a music-oriented channel, and it will get me off politics because that's where my fucking head has been going.
I'm already
to.
off of politics.
Ah, man. we got to be careful.
I'm no.
I think they're going to do some stuff while we're not paying, while we've been bummed out. I think they're going to do some stuff. It's not going to be good.
But there are people that are more qualified than me that are going to be worried about it.
Okay, but like I'm in ground fucking zero, dude. They're talking about Chicago being the fucking round everybody up city.
Really?
No, I'm serious. Yeah, no, the immigrants thing. The people without papers.
Why would they not do it in Texas? We're right. We're right by Mexico.
I don't know. Well, okay, I don't know. Maybe they're talking about that all over the place.
Yeah,
you know what I
maybe
mean.
so.
But
Maybe
in
so.
our papers and in our news and stuff, they're talking about Chicago, and so there are people like there are neighborhood organizations getting together and stuff, and through schools, public schools and stuff, and there are people who are like, no, we're gonna absolutely not let ICE drag people out of here. And it's like,
man, I didn't know anything about. I'm glad that I don't know anything about this, but I literally have. I disconnected myself from so many things because it's bad for my mental health. So
right,
yeah,
totally, yeah. Chicago is famously one of the
sweet home Chicago.
Exactly, sanctuary cities. Sanctuary cities.
Yeah,
and we have a progressive mayor, Brandon Johnson, and so of course he is a target for the conservatives, whatever, right, whatever, all that stuff. I don't even know what to call it anymore. But and so it's been very. Anyway, so I watched the Don Letts, and so when I saw the Don Letts, I'm like, I'm going to watch another music documentary at some point. And the next one was that thrash thing that I sent you.
Got it.
It was next on the list. So, dude, I think you should watch it because it's stuff from that movie that was made. It was on it's edited out, so it's extended interviews.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
it's the same guy who made the other one. This is him revisiting it with a lot of stuff he said ended up on the cutting room floor, and it was also fascinating.
Well, I'm sorry I judged it so quickly.
it's okay. I knew we were going to talk. We would work through this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will. Then I
So,
will definitely watch it if it's extras and extended interviews from that. So
okay. So you had just said, well, if someone saw Crash before they saw Magnolia or never saw Magnolia, or it was a difficult time in their life, right? You just said that, right? Well,
yeah,
so I realized from,
you saw that before you saw Get Thrashed. You saw the
no, I watched it after because you said, no, man, watch this one. And so I watched the one that you sent me, Get
oh,
Thrashed.
got it,
So, and that's
got
great
it.
because that's like episode one. I watched the beginning of it or whatever. And the
Yeah,
thing that I got out of that movie was like, that was the, okay, dude, seriously, in Topeka, Kansas, in 1980, okay, I'm coming off of Kiss and rock radio, just rock radio, FM rock radio,
yeah.
okay, and then New Wave comes out, and I'm like, oh, I think I like this. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I mean, Devo was on at Saturday Night Live, and the B-52s came out,
Uh huh.
and then and I'm listening to the Cars, and now they're pumping this new wave thing, right? And I was
Yeah,
like getting into it, so I cut my hair, you know what I mean? And I started dressing different and stuff,
yeah.
and oh my God, I was the target of some of the worst shit from other kids. Like it was like I was like ruining their lives just by being there.
Yep. Yep. There is, but that's the thing is that, and I hate that it's still going on because now it's what fucking 50 years of this shit. That
Yeah.
in certain genres of music, it's almost like the people feel like you're not a real metalhead or a real punk or whatever
Right.
if you're not shitty to other people that listen to other music. And that's why I've
Right.
never assigned myself as
Yeah.
one of those people
Right.
ever
Right.
because I'm just like, no. Because as soon as I say I'm a metalhead, then there's fucking rules. And
Right.
there's a really great line from Some Kind of Monster, the Metallica documentary, where Lars is like, I didn't get into rock and roll for fucking rules.
Right.
Anyway, and I
Right.
agree
That's
with him.
awesome.
I did
Yeah.
not either. But
Right. Well,
yeah, so I
so
get that. So did you found new wave before like punk? Like did
oh, for sure. Yeah.
okay.
I mean, it came very fast after.
Yeah.
I mean, because as soon as you start shopping in like Commander Salamander catalogs or whatever that you had to look for at the back in the back of Rolling Stone magazine, you
Uh-huh.
know what I mean? And then you got that. Then you saw pins and buttons, your wraparound sunglasses and your new wave shirts that zip on the side and all that shit. You saw, and then you could see, oh, there was a bunch of bands from Susie and the Banshees and The Cure and all the stuff that was coming out of. And so
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you touch the Sex Pistols. Ding. And now you're like, oh shit. And then
Yeah.
there's the Clash, and then there's the Damned, and then now you're into the punk rock thing. But
Yeah.
then it doesn't take very long before, oh, who's the Dead Kennedys? And
Yeah.
now you're like, oh shit. And then it's like, oh, who's Black Flag? Oh,
Yeah.
what's that all about? And who's the Circle Jerks? And who's Social Distortion? And who's
Yeah.
and now you're off. You're just gone down that trail or whatever.
Yeah.
So what I was gonna say was I feel that the jock contingent, and I know it's probably different in high school now than it used to be, but the jock contingent was actually cooler to me than was the metal guys. The metal guys were like, dude, I'm not going to say the words that they say to you, but
Yeah.
I was gay as far as they were concerned.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and they were steeped in gay hatred. I don't know what that shit
But
was.
you have to remember, like, it's all about your entry point into metal.
Yes.
So, like, the one of the big reasons why thrash metal is so important to me, or was a big
Yes.
deal for me, is because it is related to punk in many ways.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
people that listened to thrash and the thrash metal bands were socially conscious, and they were like, fuck the government, fuck anyone telling you what you're supposed to be listening to or wearing or whatever.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
there's the other metal. I feel like the dudes that were calling you gay, they were listening to Manowar and shit like that. Like they weren't.
Well, okay.
like-
At that point, it was the Sabbath dudes, the Led Zeppelin dudes. It was like the smoking section behind D building at my high school. The guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as metal progressed, I just got away from it
Yeah.
because
Which makes sense.
so so that was the time of my life it hit me, and you're totally right. Your entry point into it
Yeah.
made a big difference. So now I'm into hardcore music, and I've already got my leather jacket and my spikes and all that kind of stuff. So now I'm back into the rock, the punk rock, the hardcore stuff,
Yeah.
and the crass and 7 seconds shit painted on your jean jacket and on your and you're going for it. Okay, so by that point I got a little more respect. I got a little less antagonism from. I think the metal at that point hated disco so much, they were frothing at the mouth about disco, that when new wave hit, it was just the next thing to fuck with or whatever. So I
Yeah.
feel like I pulled out of the metal scene, like I just pulled back because
Yeah.
it was threatening. Those were the
Yeah.
kids who were like threatening me at school. Hey, fucker, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. So I veered away from it, and when you get into the punk rock scene, you're like, oh, cool. It's like 12 people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like in your town, it's like 12
Yeah.
people. And you got to go to the different high schools because they're not all don't all go to the same school and stuff. And so you have your little punk rock shows and you start your little punk rock bands and you play your little punk rock house parties and it's cool. You're totally awesome. And then fucking dude, I don't know. So then Metallica comes out, right? And they're wearing Misfits t-shirts, and now all those motherfuckers show up at the shows to see the punk rock shows. And I'm like, dude, we fought to build a scene that you weren't here to call me.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? And they thought slam dancing was to punch people and all, instead of, like that skip thrash shit that was happening. It was all, it looked violent, but it was always like, it was just,
Yeah.
okay, so
The
now it's
circle pits.
moshing.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's moshing and pounding and all that other kind of stuff. And I think like I must have just instinctively pulled back from that stuff
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, dude, why are you now? Oh. So
Yeah.
I never really went back to listen to it. And now and thank you for sending me that documentary, because there is literally a part in that documentary when they talk about how thrash metal touches the Cro-Mags, right? And Suicidal Tendency goes metal and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there when that happened. Like
Yeah.
like bands started to take on a very like SSD
Crossover.
control and crossover stuff.
Yeah.
DRI, which we talked about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now it's into thrash.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, and now after I hear you talk about music, about nothing is good and nothing is bad, you either like it or you don't like it,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So now I have to turn off my it's bad because it hurt me, because it was being mean to me.
It
and I have
sucks
to go
when
listen.
Yeah, it sucks when
Go
the
ahead.
people in the scene are shitty. Like that's that's the thing that and I understand that. I understand being turned off by something because the people are shitty. I've dealt with that my entire life. So it makes sense to me,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I don't know, cuz I had the experience you're talking about with
Uh-huh.
with the metalheads when you were into new wave.
Right.
I actually got that from the punks in the 90s.
okay.
In the 90s.
I bet you did.
Because
No, I bet you did.
something happened
Yeah.
with punk rock in the 90s.
It got
where-
popular.
And it's still there today, where
Yes.
and it probably happened in the late 80s. I don't really know, because I don't know a lot about punk. I just like some bands. But where it started to become, for lack of a better term, they were the posers, because
Yes.
everything was about
Yeah.
a look
Yep.
and a fake attitude,
Yep.
and it became so like you're wearing a fucking Halloween costume. Everything about you
Hot
is
Topic.
a fucking Halloween. But this is way before Hot Topic, so this is early
I mean,
night. But yeah,
right.
So I actually,
Which I
when
like, by the way. I go to Hot Topic every time I'm at the mall.
My kid loves Hot Topic, so I mean, I'm down.
Well, so does mine, and we have a good time at Hot Topic.
It's
But
it's
anyway,
fun.
so- right. It's fun. Okay.
So but at that point it was, and I wouldn't have cared, because like there's plenty of other things in the entertainment world where it is very based on dressing up and pretending to be something. But if you're going to look at me and call me a poser or call me gay because I had long hair, because when I fresh out of high school, so this was 96, I joined a punk band, but it was the punk that we were playing would have been closer to like the California, like Fat Records, Epitaph type punk rock stuff.
Yep.
So, and a lot of those bands played metalish riffs in their stuff. So that was what kind of brought me to it. But we played this sort of, punk-ish music. And so we would get booked on shows with like punk bands, with the fucking Mohawks, and they wanted to fight and they hated me because I was the singer in this band and I had long hair. And I did not dress punk. I literally wore khaki pants and a t-shirt. That's what I wore on stage.
Right.
I was like skater. Like I had airwalks and like, that's how I dressed. But these fucking punks would be like, you're a poser. And I'd be like looking at them like, who the fuck are you talking to? I literally am dressing the way that I'm dressing. You are putting on a fucking costume.
Right.
And try. So that's why I'm just like, but I had to divorce myself from all of those people because I liked so much of that music that I'm like, it's just the people and you can't because I know for a fucking fact that you go to talk to those bands.
Right. And they love everything.
If you want to go talk to the guys from Bad Religion, they don't just listen to punk music.
No.
And like those were the bands that I looked at and I was like, well, like Bad Religion is not going to come to me and tell me I'm a poser because of how I dress.
No.
And Bad Religion to me was like one of the like punk bands.
Same.
And so so I get that how like especially when you're younger.
Yeah.
If your introduction to something is awful fucking people, then why would you even devote your time to it? Why?
Right.
It's like I'm moving on to something else. There's plenty of other music, and I'm pretty sure from what we talked about, when you're talking getting into the late '80s when like thrash was huge, you were in your early 20s, and so you would have been listening to Jane's Addiction and stuff like that. Like you would have been probably, maybe still into punk, but I feel like you were alternative. You were getting, before it was called alternative, you were into those
college rock,
the Pixies maybe and shit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, 100%. But because you're absolutely correct. Like that, what's that? It's that Minor Threat line. Looking for the day when I first wore the suit, baby, it's grown older, it's no longer cute. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he talks about, hey, you used to be able to see a person on the street dressed like you, and you used to be able to talk to them, and it was a very, it was like a thing. You could do it, and then now pretty soon it gets like I oftentimes think it was like 85 or 86, but I didn't graduate till 86, so I was still full on into the punk stuff in 86. So I think by the time, I think more like 89, 90, I'm like, how much more of this can I handle? Because, it was not innovating in a way that it used to. And the feeling that you got off of hearing it when it was a brand new thing was, and then, dude, that Cult Electric album came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that was,
I think everybody
what is that, 88 Cult Electric? 87?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. So when that album hits, in the Midwest anyway, that fucked a lot of people. That started to make them do rock stuff.
Before we move on, though, I have a punk question. As a punk fan,
yes.
What did you think about the last few Black Flag albums that they did? How did you take that in?
Okay,
because it was not punk.
You're talking about the Loose Nut and
I'm talking about like
the one was not this one that they came out with. What's that?
Oh
one
no,
that. Okay.
Not that one. But I'm even talking about Slip It In, Loose Nut, Family Man. It was a
Family
fucking
Man, sure.
spoken word on one side,
and then the lyrics on this process of weeding out.
And I know a lot of people didn't like what they were doing and still don't, but that's my favorite Black Flag. I like the Black Flag where I'm like, what the fuck were they doing? It's my favorite shit.
Oh, totally. And I think like when you said, "Hey, man, I just like all the eras of Kiss. I like all of it."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just like the '70s shit. I like the '80s shit. I like all that stuff. With
Uh,
Black Flag, that was just that's that for me. So when you were talking about Kiss like that,
all right.
about, and I think it was even in that exposed the watching episode that you mentioned that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I was like, yeah, no, I totally know what you're talking about because there's times when a band has radically changed, and I just go ahead and follow them, like Iggy Pop. I'm just going to go ahead
Mhm.
and listen to Iggy Pop's records until he can't put them out anymore or doesn't put them out anymore, and
Yeah.
I'm just going to be fine with it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be, you know what I mean? Like, fuck it, he's doing what he's doing. He earned the right
Yeah.
for me to be in love with him. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I'm just
Yeah.
gonna go ahead and follow. And do I like everything as much as I like? No, I don't. But did he put out some great records on solo? Fuck yeah, he
Yeah.
did. He
But
did some
yeah,
great shit, you know?
I just know that there are people like I'll see it on the internet now because like
Sure, sure.
I'm Henry Rollins is one of my heroes. And
Yes. Yeah. He was great.
he wouldn't just be my hero if he just did the Black Flag stuff. It's the breadth of whatever of his
Yes.
his career and his life,
Yes.
where I'm just I admire the guy, but I see him fronting Black Flag, and I can't imagine anybody else doing that, and I immediately am just like, oh, I fucking love this. But I make the mistake of going to the comment section, and it's always like, this is the worst Black Flag. Henry Rollins is not Black Flag, and I'm just like,
Okay. That was happening
yeah,
at the time.
yeah,
That was happening at the
I know
time.
it was, and like,
Yeah.
but like, I think I relate to that because they were the dudes that were like, yeah, we're all gonna grow our hair out, and we're gonna play music that some of it has elements of metal in it,
Oh,
and
dude, annihilate.
yeah,
Annihilate.
all week long. I
Annihilate.
love
Yeah,
that
dude,
one.
that thing is totally don't get that's a badass. Okay, to answer your question, I love the Henry Rollins stuff. I saw Decline of the Western Civilization, so
Oh,
I'm a Chavo person,
yeah,
and
yeah,
the Jealous Again EP is fucking awesome. And again, it's like the Ramones in that you can
yeah,
put on the record and you can even you can learn
yeah,
all of his little licks that he does, Greg does, and you can feel like you're playing guitar. So, and then the Nervous Breakdown, dude, is I
yeah.
can't even believe. I mean, that song should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of fucking Fame. That thing is
Mhm.
so good. So, and then that's Keith Morris. You know
So
what I mean?
that
So it's like,
and that being said, because I like all of that stuff.
mhm.
And I like it so much that I'll see footage where somebody posts a version of Rollins doing Nervous Breakdown, and I
Yes,
go,
yes.
I don't like this as much, but but I love because I would prefer the other vocalists to do it
Yes,
because Rollins has a
yes,
very
yes.
different delivery,
Very different.
and
Right. Very different.
so I love that, but like that's what like my introduction to Black Flag was Damaged. So that's I didn't know anything before that. But
But
once I
the other
heard
good
it,
things, yes.
I was just like, well, all of this stuff is good. So I wasn't there. So I don't know. It's like I was alive and a fan at the time where I was able to hear Metallica put out Load.
Yep.
So I know what that felt like. But
Yep.
I didn't listen to Black Flag when they put out, like Family Man or whatever, or something that was
Yep.
very just like, what is this? And so that's why I'm always curious, like, what did it feel like? Like, did it bother you?
No. First
Yeah.
of all, they were touring constantly.
Yeah.
They were through your town like multiple times in a year.
Mhm.
So, and they were releasing multiple albums. Talk about a busy band. They were very busy.
Hell yeah.
And
And
yeah,
releasing other classic albums on SST.
yes, yes. And so it was like you really you really heard the material first because you heard it at a show and you
Oh.
were into it. And so you were like, awesome. Then the record came out and you're like, it sounds pretty good on the record. Like, I guess I still like it, but it was not what was happening.
Oh,
With just
fuck, no. That's the only gripe that
No,
I have
yeah, yeah.
is that however they recorded some of those albums,
Oh,
the rhythm is really push and pull and kind of weird.
yeah,
And I'm
right.
like, and then you'll see a live version and you're like, that's it.
Totally.
That's how it's supposed to sound.
Yes. Yeah.
So
So yeah, but no, man, no, the Black Flag stuff was really good. I mean, people left. I mean, okay. So there was that rap music for rap people compilation. I don't know if you've ever heard that thing. It's like the live versions of songs, and I think that we were introduced to the slower Black Flag stuff with that song "Scream,"
Hmm.
and it was that live version. I'll scream
Yeah.
in your ear. You know, we
Which
were like,
was which is those songs are what is apparently the birth of grunge and
oh,
doom,
is it?
and not only grunge but like doom metal and things like that.
Okay,
A lot of apparently like going to see Black Flag on the My War tour was like Chris Cornell, all those guys saw them, and it was a
right.
really big awakening of like, oh, we should do some shit like this, you
Oh,
know?
dude, it was like, and again, it was new. Now it's not. Now it
Yeah,
seems old.
exactly.
But
Yeah,
it didn't exist before, and it was awesome.
yeah.
And yeah, dude. So dude, the My War tour, like we were primed to see that, and then the shirts that came out, the concert shirts, it said fuck, that puppet hand with the knife. I
Oh
was
yeah,
like, oh, like that was like that was chaos. Just that was it.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
like that was everything about your society that was just careening into this weird capitalistic fucking murder profits,
yeah.
just murder for money. Bam, bam, bam. And then the shirt said side two on the
Oh,
back.
no way! I did not know
Oh,
that.
look, I got goosebumps.
Yeah,
it's like we were, and so because side two are those three songs, right?
yeah, yeah,
And that's that whole album side, and it's where they just say "fuck it," and they
yeah,
get really they get really dark,
yeah.
and it was
And,
like, "Whoa,
and
yeah,
that's the thing is that like Rollins continued to say "fuck it" for the rest of his life,
yes,
and
yes,
even when that meant doing things that were more of a mainstream, like when he took like acting roles and shit like that. Like he just went like, why the fuck not? I've never done this. I'm gonna do
no,
this.
totally,
And I
totally,
just love the fact that he just was always unapologetic. Well, he's still alive. I don't know. I'm talking about like he's dead, but
right, right,
he's like, and I went to go see his spoken word like several times,
yes,
and
me
I
too, yep,
always really loved it. But I just
yes,
like his whole outlook, and then reading Get in the Van, and like you start to like
right,
see the growth of him as a human being, because shit
yes.
he wrote in Get in the Van, you're like, some of he's kind of an asshole.
Oh, he's a total asshole, right?
And
Like I was like, maybe you should be telling these stories, dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
but he
no,
didn't. He
totally,
was
yeah,
just like, it's all out there, man. And so,
yeah,
but you hear even in like, because I got all sorts of old spoken word shit, and you hear the growth of him as a human, like
yes,
because, and I admire that about people, where it's just like
yes,
we're not, none of us are perfect,
no,
but I admire when somebody's goal is to become a better version of themselves with everything
exactly,
that they do,
right.
and I pretty much live my life that way. Like
Wow, congratulations.
everything that I do,
Yeah,
I'm trying to be better somehow. Like whatever,
right.
as a human being, as a father, as a husband, as a podcaster, as a whatever it is, like as a musician. Yeah, I got a new microphone. That's it. But I just, yeah. But back to let's take the wheel and
Oh, okay.
let's go back to thrash metal, because I feel like
Yes, please.
we were
Yes,
going to
please.
get onto Do you have
Yes, please.
questions for me? Because you prefaced it by saying like you don't know much about me as to like
Well,
where I
okay.
was at the time, or what it is that drew me to that music.
Okay, so like I am old now. I'm very old now. And
You're the
so
same age as my middle brother. I have
okay.
two older brothers. The middle
Uh-huh.
one is your age.
Okay. So like I understand now that I have retreated into music in the past. Like I'm
Yeah,
listening to Fleetwood Mac and shit now. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And so music now is like my daughter, she's 14 and she listens to anything she likes and she doesn't give a fuck what it is or what it is not
Whether it's old or new, doesn't matter.
old or new. And so I've gotten into a lot of stuff that is, I mean, I even liked Imagine Dragons. I probably shouldn't say that or whatever, but I
No,
was like, dude,
don't
this is
say that.
fine. No, it was fine. It was fine. It could have been a lot
You know
worse
what? That's the best
you know what I
review of
mean?
Imagine Dragons. It's fine.
It's fine. There was a couple songs that I didn't. Did they do Pain? Pain,
I
break me
fuck.
up, you make me a believer. That was them,
Maybe
right?
that was them. I think
Yeah.
so. I
Okay.
just remember, didn't
Great.
they do the one that's like lightning and thunder, thunder,
Yes.
something like
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Not my favorite song. Not my favorite song. But there were some cuts on the albums that were fine. They were okay. I'm like, congratulations. It wasn't like
Congratulations, you made music that I think is fine, but has made you millions of dollars.
right, right. Well, what
Maybe
did you
not
think?
millions.
Like,
I don't know.
okay, so and these are even bands that she was into 5 years ago. So she's 10 years old. You know how rapidly you change from 10 to
Oh,
15 or whatever. So, but I mean, like, what did you
you
think
do
about?
not understand what I went through with my kid. We're going through this massive Billie Eilish phase, and then all of a sudden
Yes.
one day, fuck Billie Eilish.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know.
It's so yeah, so right. Like, and she was into 21 Pilots for a while and all that, and I didn't mind 21 Pilots. I
They
thought
got a
were
couple
good.
songs I like. 21
Yeah.
Pilots is that one. Wish I could turn back time to
Yes.
the good old days. That's a good
Days.
little tune.
It's a great little tune.
I will give credit where credit's due to any song that gets stuck in my head, and I'm like, oh, this is like, if it's got to be have something good about it if it gets kind of
Right.
caught in my head. So yeah,
Right, right. Yeah, what was this? Oh, I can't even remember who I was listening to today.
is it
doesn't
newer
matter.
newer stuff?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, yeah, it was brand new. Like I
Do you-
got this.
Oh, I have an important question that
Oh,
I mean to ask you. What is where do you go for music online? Because I don't think, do you use Apple Music or Spotify or either of those?
No,
No.
no,
What do you,
I
where do you
don't.
go?
I
YouTube?
just go to Yeah, I just go to YouTube, and if they have a
Because
video
sometimes
or
I'll
something-
hear things and I'll go, maybe Mark would be into this, and I need to like just maybe find it on YouTube and send it to you. Because there is newer music, newer punk music, like or newer music that's like left of center kind of odd stuff that I'm all like, you might be into this, and it might like lead you into like being more interested in newer stuff. I don't know.
True, right. Well, you know what? Here's the deal. Like, I don't. My habits about listening to music didn't change. Like, like I didn't. I don't. I can't. I like to hear it out of my stereo. I don't like to hear it. And now my phone doesn't even have a headphone jack on it anymore, and I don't want to get fucking earbuds and have Bluetooth shooting at my head. I mean, I just don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, and this is what I'm saying. I'm old, and so I kind of just let that stuff go. And
Yeah.
if Sequoia comes up with something that she likes, and I'm like, oh, who's that? And then we listen to it, and then like Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
What the fuck? There's like a couple of songs of hers that are fucking. I think that's her name, Olivia
Yeah.
Rodrigo. Who's the
Yeah.
one that's in Wicked?
That's Ariana Grande, right?
Okay, so it's definitely Olivia Rodrigo.
Is
There's
it
a couple
Ariana
of-
Grande that's in that?
Yeah, I think that's Ariana Grande.
I don't know.
She's very thin. She's a very thin person.
Isn't everybody a thin person?
Oh, that is true. Yeah,
Everybody except for me. The whole world
All right.
is
Well, I'm
thin
not
except for
so-
me.
I'm not so thin, dude. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, I don't because like I'll get like Mike and Daryl and stuff will send a Spotify link or a Apple Music link, and I'll be like, yeah, can't.
That's why, yeah, that's why I want to know what the best thing is. But YouTube is good. Bandcamp, I guess you can get to also because it's free. You can just go listen to Bandcamp. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another one of my friends who's really into Bandcamp and has his stuff on Bandcamp, and he'll send me stuff, and now that one just comes on without the app. It'll play anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I really don't like, and this is that thing that you and
Eddie
Eddie were
Sparks.
talking about. Yep, thank you, Eddie. We're talking about that dude who was a music critic, but then he kind of fucked off and said he was just doing it for the money. What was his name?
Finn McKinney. Yeah.
McKinty? Okay, and you were talking about, the dude's a poser. He didn't even really listen to music and stuff. And I was like, this is a great video by those guys. Because I don't really listen to it either. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, I don't really listen to music. But I guess I don't have a podcast. Like,
But
that's
you're
giving my
not-
opinion.
you're
my
not-
opinion.
You're not approaching it like listen to me and and help me earn a living off of you listening to me regurgitate things I read on Wikipedia or whatever. Because
Right.
but the thing is that he's not the only person guilty of that. If you, and I know you don't and you shouldn't, but if you look on like TikTok, especially today,
Okay.
there's a music world on TikTok that is
Until tomorrow.
that probably thousands. Yeah,
Until tomorrow.
Yeah, is that just tomorrow when TikTok
Yeah, I
goes
think
away?
it's tomorrow. Yeah, I think it's tomorrow.
Thousands of music dudes, and you go to, and me knowing everything I know about music, I will see a video and I'll go, this motherfucker literally just read a Wikipedia article and now is doing a video, and I'm just like, what do you? And but even like you go to like Facebook, there's all these like metal news apps that literally just take stories that really good sites have already published, and then they just present it in a way. And I'm just like, where's it going to end? Like, why can you just stop? Like, if you don't have anything original to bring to the table,
yes,
yeah,
exactly,
then just don't do it. We don't need another metal news site. No. We don't need another person to be like, did you hear about this? Or even better, they'll like bring up some fact that like everybody already knew. And they're like, but did you know that like, I don't know, did you know what the lyrics to this Jimi Hendrix song? And I'm like, oh, we didn't know those lyrics to a song that's fucking 60 years old. We knew 70? Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Where were we going?
It's good because I think you've hit on something that's awesome. It's because movies do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And the fucking news is doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the same words, the same stories, the same quotes, the same points, the same everything. And I'm like, what is going on?
But there's so much of it now.
Right.
And that's why people who, for lack of a better term, aren't very smart will see a site that looks like news that says immigrants are eating cats and dogs, and they'll go, well, this must be true because it says it on this site that says news time, or whatever.
Right. Well, and then some dipshit repeats it, like a person who's like, Trump repeated it or whatever, and now it's just out there.
Yeah.
It's super weird.
And he's Anyway, never mind. We'll back to thrash metal. But you know what? We're on the right track though, because I'm gonna tell you this right now. People who claim to be into thrash metal and they say things like, "Can you keep politics out of your music?" You're not a fucking thrash metal fan. Get the fuck out of here.
Okay.
You're not wanted.
Okay, so I'm going to say something. I appreciate this that you're bringing this up because this is and I meant to take some notes on a legal pad so I could talk to you about it, but I forgot to do it. But so my pen ran out of ink. See, okay, so
your quill,
my quill, right? Several people throughout that thrash documentary, which I enjoyed, and thank you very much. They would say stuff like, well, the lyrics are about, murder, rape, destruction, kill, na. And everyone's like, they like if you listen to Cannibal Corpse or you listen to,
which I love.
Okay. So, but what is it? And then, okay. So what I was going to say is when you had your top, was it your top 10 albums of 2024?
Yes.
And you had two very thrash metal albums in a row. I think it was 5 and 4 or 4, whatever it was. And you were and you often talk about how when you see artwork on one of these records, it draws you in.
Yeah.
I'm saying whatever. But so then you showed me that there was that one you showed me because I was watching you.
It was it's just for you.
It was just for me, man. I'm like the Truman Show, dude. And so, but when it was like that dude's head that was split open and all that shit coming out.
And then there's literally a painting inside the dude's head. There's like a graveyard and shit. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's Undeath is the name of the band.
Undeath. Okay. So what was the one that would touch to that one? The one that was right after that one? One of them was like, oh, this is like classic death metal. And then you're like, oh, this one's classic doom metal. And I'm like, and you played like a couple of seconds of each song and I could not tell them apart. And I was like, oh my God, I'm almost 60.
You're probably talking. Happened. I mean, the last few, you've got 200 Stab Wounds, which was number 10, which is a death metal band.
Okay. And what was on their album cover?
That was the one where the body is like on the table and it's all fucking gory and shit. Gory. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Those two albums, Undeath and 200 Stab Wounds, are very similar. Like they're like it's the kind of death metal that I really enjoy. So,
I get it. Like one time you said, "Well, hey man, I'm not going to listen to like I'm not going to listen to 15 songs in that genre. I'm going to listen to whatever. I'm going to change up and I'm going to listen to some hip hop or I'm going to listen to Madonna or whatever you
Yes.
take breaks and do. And I've
Yes.
heard your radio show and it's got a lot of different stuff on it and all that.
Uh-huh.
And so your the Old Head Radio and so I guess what I'm trying to say is like when I see that gore and
Uh-huh.
stuff on an album cover, and if I like if I'm listening to something about how like Slayer and all
Uh-huh.
that rain and blood and the
Which
feel of death and
that's
the
more like
power
satanic, but yeah.
say right when I see that stuff I go well it doesn't do anything for me. Like
Yes.
it might as well be the NFL. Like I just don't I just it's not something that I'm interested in or
Yeah.
whatever. So
So
but
it's
what is it? But you seem incredibly fucking nice, dude. And I want to know what is it about that stuff that when you see it, you go, oh yeah, I want to see the inside of this dude's head bleeding brains out or whatever. Like what is it
honestly
about?
the artwork is the music is the most important part. But the aggressive music and sometimes the lyrics in death metal to me really don't matter. Like thrash metal is a
Okay.
different thing. Death
Okay.
metal to me is like some lyrics are really cool, but like most of it is, death, gore, Satan, whatever.
Right.
And it's just I almost view death metal vocalists like another part of the rhythm section where it's you know what I'm saying? So it's like, in fact, if you ever
Yeah.
go listen to the album Tomb of the Mutilated by Cannibal Corpse, you can't
Okay.
even understand what the fuck Chris Barnes is saying. It's
Yeah, and then,
but there are death metal bands where you can kind of hear some words, but his is literally just like
right.
you don't know what
Right.
the fuck it is. But
But what is he saying?
saying stuff like my dick is shooting blood in a girl's ass, kind of shit like that.
Are you being hyperbolic or do you think he's really talking about that stuff?
No, there's a song. There's a song called "I Come Blood," which is
Okay.
yeah. So that stuff is I love like when you watch a movie and it's like overly gory to where it's like
Yes.
fun. You're just like, oh, that was fucking cool. Like that's what it's like to me. But like those bands, it's the actual musicians, how locked in those fucking people are
Oh,
playing
for
this
sure. It's a machine.
incredibly
It's a
fast,
machine.
crazy shit. But the albums that become my favorites of the year, the thing that makes them click with me is the fact that there'll be riffs where I'll be like, well, that riff is actually really fucking cool. It's not just playing a note really fast or making some fucking loud ass noise or playing, playing open, drop D for the whole time. I'll hear riffs and I go, if they slowed that down, somebody would hear it and go, that's an amazing riff. But they're playing it like three
Right.
times the speed.
Right.
And so when you catch those riffs, you go, oh, that's fucking great. And sometimes it's so great that I'm just like, I would never be able to learn how to play that because it's way too fast. And I'm going to send you a video of Cannibal Corpse recording one of their songs in the studio.
Okay.
And the song is called Frantic Disembowelment. That's the name of the song.
Okay.
Great.
So, okay.
Their song titles are fucking amazing. So,
Okay, but is it a horror movie? Is that all
Yeah.
death metal is? It's just a horror movie. Like people
Yeah.
who enjoy horror movies, they just want to
Yeah.
see or they want to listen to something that's overtly gory.
it's all just being over the top and trying to like. Sometimes I feel like they're trying to make each other laugh as well in certain respects. But
Okay.
if you watch the making of Frantic Disembowelment, the guitar player's recording it, and there's several parts where you go, you can't even see what his hands are doing because he's just like, and I'm just like, holy fucking shit, and like that. So, but like, you can do that all day, but if you're making music that like connects with me, and with me, it's like I love riffs. I love. I don't know, because it's really weird because I will hear something that's like. And I honestly can't even fucking explain it. That's why I don't bother to critique other people's taste because I will hear a Cannibal Corpse song, and then you could play me something by Parliament Funkadelic, and I'll have the same reaction where I go,
Right.
"Oh, that's fucking tasty! That riff right there."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but for some reason, my brain hears these two things, and it's like, well, I pick apart this thing that connects with me about it, and those things are usually. That's why I'm saying I should have been fucking playing bass guitar my entire fucking life, because a lot of it is bass related. Sometimes it's, guitar riffs. There's some really fucking great guitar riffs, and there's some really great, shredders. And I'm a huge Eddie Van Halen fan. I love that fucking shit. But lyrically speaking, that's the thing, is that as much as I love all these crazy metal bands where you can't understand what they're saying and it's whatever, the music that I like is if you can make really great music that connects with me, and the words that you are saying, I connect with those words at the same time.
Yes.
That is even better, which is why thrash metal connected with me, because I was like, because it was things that, like, when I was first introduced to thrash metal, it was through Anthrax. Anthrax had a song on the first album I heard by Anthrax was State of Euphoria. There's a song on the album that's literally about the homeless epidemic. That's what all the lyrics are about. And I was like, oh yeah, this is a fucking, I was like, 11, 12 years old. And I was still, even then I was like, it's so cool that they're like just writing a song about like this real shit.
Yeah. Stuff
But at the same time, they'll also have a song on that album where there's a song about the book Misery by Stephen King. And I'll hear that and I'll go, well, I know what that's about. And it's cool that they wrote that about that, or they write songs about like Judge Dredd or whatever. I don't know. But they pulled from everywhere. But other thrash bands, Testament's a really big one, where they wrote about social issues. They wrote about like the environment. And so like, and that's why I think I got really connected with the post-hardcore stuff. So your Fugazi and bands like that, because you would hear their lyrics and you'd be like, oh man, this is like real shit that is important to me.
Right.
And so, but for some reason I can divorce those two things. I can listen to a fucking song about like chopping up bodies and it's all just and I get something out. I get similar things out of it that I do. I don't know, Reclamation by Fugazi, one of my favorite songs of all time. I get the same kind of feeling about it, but I always appreciate it more when a band at least sometimes makes a song or writes lyrics where I go, I feel like I'm connected with them on a, for lack of a better term, a moral level.
Exactly.
And that's important to me. So that thrash metal has a lot of that. That's why, like, when people say thrash and then they bring up Slayer, I go, well, Slayer's kind of like in this different area of thrash.
Right.
Like there are the satanic thrash bands.
Right.
But even then, Slayer would write songs about like the horrors of war and things like that. So, but thrash metal was pretty much where that was happening for the most part. And Metallica was a big deal. Metallica was the band that on fucking one album, you got Master of Puppets. So you've got the song Master of Puppets, which is about drug abuse. A couple songs later, you've got a Welcome Home Sanitarium, which is about like people who are mentally ill being in a hospital. Then a little bit later, you have Disposable Heroes, which is about like people being drafted and going off to war, and literally they're meaningless except just being bodies that are supposed to go out and kill people. Then a little bit later, you have Leper Messiah, which is about the like evangelists taking money from weak people that need religion. And I'm just like, so you would hear these things and I'd be like, yeah, this is real shit. I love that about thrash metal, is that they would write things like that. I feel like I'm going off on a tangent.
No. And this is really the this is really the big topic, and I feel we can talk about this because we've talked about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And is that because like if uh I'm definitely not a huge. I mean, I don't. Talking Heads are not my favorite band in the whole wide world, but I've heard the Talking Heads and I've really enjoyed the Talking Heads. And then
Yeah.
when I was talking about the '70s punk stuff, and you're like, yeah, that's old people's music or whatever. Which of course it was old people's music because it was 5 years,
But I,
sometimes 10 years before I was even got into it. I had to go back to
yeah.
get into it.
But I
Okay,
do like
so
some of that music, though. That's the thing, is I do enjoy some of that 70s punk stuff.
okay, so so I'm gonna say that like. And I've said this often, and I should stop it because it's like a dialogue tape that's going around and around. And I know I should stop it. And so I've been making an effort to stop it. But there are two bands in this world that make me angry when I hear them. And one of them is Led Zeppelin because I think they fucking that they just that whole shit. It just drives me crazy. Now,
Yeah. Yeah.
I've made a very concerted effort
Yeah.
to stop being a bigot about that band.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've gone and I've sought out because a lot of people love that band.
Yeah.
And now I can understand now. I can handle it. When
Yeah.
he's not singing, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, okay, no, I got it. Because out of those era bands, Black Sabbath,
Yeah.
that one, they spoke to me, and he doesn't, he's got that thin, reedy voice, but he's never,
Yeah.
doing that
I mean,
scream.
to be fair with Led Zeppelin, like I've gone through periods where I don't want to listen to Led Zeppelin at all. And I don't know if you ever did you watch our ranking of Led Zeppelin?
No, I didn't. No, huh?
You should watch it
when did
because
you do that one? How long ago did you do that one?
a year ago, about a year ago.
Okay.
I talk a lot
Because
about,
Eddie's a drummer.
but I talk a lot about how the weak link in Led Zeppelin is Robert Plant. He's because literally I would consider myself a Led Zeppelin fan, but if they released versions of albums where they just took his voice out completely, I'd be like, yeah.
Right.
Because
I
the
think I
best
might
thing
too.
about Led Zeppelin
Yeah.
is the fucking rhythm section.
Wow.
Those guys fucking rule. Like Jimmy Page, great. He does some great shit, but he also
he's
does
got
some
some
kind of lame shit.
And he steals a lot.
And they repurposed other fucking music.
Yeah, just stole it. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
So I don't think that's a bad thing. So when somebody is like, "Well, I don't see the big deal about Led Zeppelin," I actually go, "You're not wrong," because Led Zeppelin, if you like growing up with Led Zeppelin, I could see that being a fucking big fucking deal. But like listening to Led Zeppelin in 2025, it's not, other bands are going to have more of an impact than Led Zeppelin will. And that's the shitty thing, is that bands like Led Zeppelin, I think, are going to get less and less important. Whereas other bands are going to kind of remain relevant for longer. But I think the thing that drags Led Zeppelin down is Robert Plant.
Yeah, right. And I don't even really, I've heard him talk, and in the interviews and stuff, he doesn't seem like an asshole or whatever. But
No.
it's that whole like, wasn't there like a bunch of really like, they really abused groupies and stuff? And isn't there like a bunch of
everybody did.
I know, but
Everybody did.
okay, and we've talked about this. Like, I don't like. We were like, would we have done that? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Would we have done that? I don't know that we would have done that. But anyway,
I would not have. But that's,
yeah, I don't think
that's
I
a
would have
different
either.
story.
I really don't. But I don't know what all those drugs do to your fucking head, and like being that popular. I have like that.
I've never been able to have sex on drugs. It doesn't work for me because I'm already. You have to understand that, like, I am so anxiety ridden.
Sure.
That I've literally lived my entire sexual life being like, look, the vibe's got to be right, the environment's got to be right. Otherwise, we ain't doing shit, lady.
Right. Do you understand?
Yeah, I'm like,
Right, yeah,
I'm not your normal kind of dude that just like zip and I'm ready to go. That's not
right,
me
right.
because the
No,
anxiety
no.
is literally constantly in my head fucking with me. So,
Yeah, man, I've had a lot of that too. I'm very, very grateful to be in the relationship that I'm in now because I have none of that.
yeah.
It's like uh but man, it's difficult for anyone I think entering into their sexuality is that the facts or the relevant parts of sharing yourself with another human being are not the aspects that are being uh talked
Oh,
about or told over and over, and then it's like I don't really feel like doing this,
yeah.
and then you're like, but is it what you like? And then you don't, or is it because I've seen it in movies or I've heard, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know, I don't feel uncomfortable, but I'd like, but I do want you to feel good, and I would like to also feel good,
Yeah.
And it's
That's
just
that
like,
but that whole thing is why I know for a fact that if I had been a gigantic rock star,
right,
the phrase that I would have said more than anything in my life would have been me saying to a groupie, it's just not happening tonight.
right, 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 right. Mine would have been a thank you, man, but I don't think so. Right, yeah. I
Don't let the
appreciate that.
door hit you on
Right.
the way
You
out.
are very attractive. Thank you very much for even paying attention to me.
Yeah.
It makes me feel great. But I just don't think that I just, yeah, right. Um, but okay, so Led Zeppelin, and
Yes.
here's the deal.
Who's the other one? Did you say another one?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
And okay. So here's where I think we're going to test our friendship. But I want to preface this with that
Okay.
I don't want to be a bigot about music anymore, and it's because I've heard you talk about genres and
Yeah.
favorites, and it's not goods or bads. It's either you like or you don't like. And so I am, and this is, I had my life before you, and now I have my
There's
life
only
after
two.
you.
There's only two deal breaker bands for me. That if you don't,
Okay.
if you hate them, it's gonna
I
bother
know.
me.
No,
Okay.
it's the one. It's the one.
Is
It's
it?
absolutely the one. Yeah, totally. And so I have a friend who loves that band.
Are you? What band are we talking about?
Yeah, no, we know who we're talking
Are
about,
we
by the
talking
way.
about
We don't even have to
Metallica?
say.
Are we talking
No,
about
we don't.
Metallica?
You had to go and say it.
So you don't like Metallica?
No, because they ruined my life. They ruined my specific life.
Why?
They
What?
they brought all those people back into my world that I had joined a group of people to get away from those people who were making my life, or who I associated with the people who were making my life horrible and so when those people started showing up at the shows, the Metallica people, because of the t-shirts and the
Yeah.
Misfits
Yeah.
covers and all that kind of stuff, I thought, God damn it, guys, I'm not going to your concerts because I would not be allowed.
Yeah.
Think about a new wave guy going
Yeah.
to a metal show, okay? And I
Hmm.
know this was different back in the day. It's a
Yeah.
lot looser. There's no, right? But but if you're going to come to my show now, when I purposely have been trying to do something else, so I got mad at that group. And that's
I
when
I get it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So that's when the Thrasher magazine came out with the Metal Zone, and then like Celtic Frost and all those the Slayer and all the metal bands started showing up in like punk rock stuff, and
Yeah.
it made me super mad. So I was always like, I think out of spite, or I think out of self-preservation, I was like, dude, I don't like that group. Now I have, because my daughter watched Stranger Things and is now very much into that song, Master of Puppets. Thank you very much, Eddie. Right? I have heard that song and I go, okay, that fucking song is really good. Like, it
Yeah.
is really good. Like, if I just turn off the whole my teenage and 20s dialogue and
Yeah.
listen to that song, I'm like, okay, okay, I get it. So I asked my good friend who owns a music store here in town, and I said, because he doesn't like Kiss. He just
Oh.
never got into them. So I'm
Yeah.
like, oh no, you got to get into him. He's like, oh no, you got to get into Metallica and all this. And so he gave me Kill 'Em All,
Okay.
which is their
Yeah.
first one, right? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So I listened to that one several times, and I'm like, I'm fucking bored out of my mind. Like this is not even it's not even good. It wasn't doing anything. The solos weren't good. The production was weird. The blah, 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 they were all it was all every song was the same. I didn't feel like it was doing anything for me or whatever. But I think is Ride the Lightning and then Master of Puppets.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ride the Lightning is gonna be the next one I get into. My friend Heath says, this is a Metallica fan. He says it's really going to probably be Master of Puppets that you get into.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember, and I know this is going to suck, when One came out,
Yes.
song One,
Yeah.
I liked that song. No, that to me, that's probably where people start to go away from Metallica.
No.
Or
That's
okay.
that's album number 4, and that still has a lot of like fast and technical metal stuff on it. It's Enter Sandman where it divides people, really.
Okay, is that an album or a song?
No, it's the Black Album. It's just a black album cover with like a
And
little
One is
snake
not
thing.
on there?
No, One is on Injustice for All.
And that was one of the albums that you would save in your
Yes.
file.
Yes, One is on that. One is one of the most perfect songs ever made, in my opinion.
Okay, I do like that song.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm a future Metallica fan.
Well, here's the thing, though. I know we need this. Look, I know this is a Star Wars episode, but I want to say, I want to organically, come up with themes. Like
Okay.
our podcast is going to be whatever the fuck it is, and I don't want there to be any rules. But if we organically come up with a theme where one of us goes, we should do a show where we do this,
Okay.
I want to say yes, because I don't want to say no, because then
Right.
like our show is not as the greater good is not there. The greater good should be saying yes, I'm gonna try that.
Agreed.
There, listening to Kill 'Em All or listening to the song Master of Puppets or the song One, that none of the for somebody like me who is a lifelong Metallica fan and likes all
Yes.
of their albums,
Yes.
that is not going to give you any idea of why they're such an important band to me.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
because they did albums like earlier when I said Load, that means nothing to you, does it? You don't even know what that
Is
means.
that the one that has the semen?
Yes,
and
semen and
in
blood on the cover.
I worked at record stores predominantly in my life, so I do
Yeah.
know that album
So-
cover. That album.
so-
yeah. Okay.
So here's what happened. Here, okay, what I'm thinking is what I want to do. So I want to put together, and I'll do this via YouTube, so you don't got to worry about it. I'm gonna put together a list of
Right.
of different eras of Metallica tracks that you will go listen to, and then we'll discuss them.
Great.
Because listen to like here's what Metallica was. People will try to act like they're just this thrashy metal band and have been forever and everything else sucks. Technically they were only really like full on thrash for one album, Kill 'Em All. That's the only one where most of the songs are thrash.
Right.
Ride the Lightning, which is my favorite album of all time, like literally the
Okay.
top of the world, has thrash on it, but they also slowed things down, and that was their first backlash. Album 2, they got backlash from those guys that were calling you gay.
Okay.
Those guys hated Ride the Lightning because they had a song with acoustic guitars in it. So very quickly they did that, and then they did Master of Puppets, which is kind of a grander and bigger version of Ride the Lightning with amazing songs on it. But there's still this variety where there's thrash metal in it, but there'll be other songs like fucking you listen. If you hear the riff to Leper Messiah, it is a stomper of a fucking song. It is not fast at all.
Okay.
And so, but then they did Injustice for All, which has some thrashiness on it, but for the most part, it's almost like technical proggy thrash. Where there's weird time signatures and the song structures are kind of weird. And then there's a song 1 on it, which is fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Then but at that point they had gotten so big where even though they were still technically an underground band, like they weren't as big as like Poison and bands like that, but they were huge enough.
They got no radio play. They
No,
didn't
they
get
got
radio play.
no.
Yeah,
But they were big enough
huge.
now
They toured
where-
constantly, right?
So then the Black Album comes out, which is called the
Right.
Black Album because it's just called Metallica and it's got a black
Right.
cover.
Right.
So this is
there a
1990.
snake on there?
Yeah,
is there
there's a
an
snake.
embossed snake in there? Okay, right.
Yeah. And so this is 1991. So this is my introduction. Well, 1 was my introduction to Metallica, and then Black Album was the first album I got.
Oh, okay.
All of a sudden,
Yeah.
the songs are slower.
Okay.
They're shorter. Some of
Okay.
it, there's catchy riffs. There's an all acoustic song that's like a love song almost, all the way
Nice.
in the middle of the album. And it's
Okay.
produced by Bob Rock, who did like Motley Crue and the Cult and bands like that.
Right.
And all of a sudden they go down this different route where they're like, you know what? Well, we want to play songs that are more simplified and more to the point, and we don't need to play fast all the fucking time.
Okay.
And then in 1996, they put out Load, where all of a sudden they're doing bluesy stuff. There's a little bit of
okay.
blues in there. There's a little bit
Okay.
of alternative in there.
Okay.
Still metal. To people that don't listen to metal, you'll hear some stuff in that and go, well, that's metal. But but to people who are metalheads, that stuff was fucking light as shit. And then, so they put out actually Load and Reload, which was like,
Yeah, Reload. Right.
yeah. And then after that, they did an entire concert with a fucking symphony. Like they did a whole bunch of their songs with a fucking entire symphony behind them, and that was S&M is what that one's called. Symphony and Metallica. Get it? S&M.
Nice.
So here's where it gets really interesting. So you go into the 2000s,
Yes.
and their bass player leaves. James goes into rehab because if you watch the documentary Some Kind of Monster, which I highly recommend because it's like just really interesting and fun. But then they make this album called Saint Anger, which to many people is the worst album ever made. I love
Really?
it because they get more metal, but all of a sudden everything, the way that they recorded it and everything is very raw.
Yes.
Where it's very in your face and all of the lyrics are very like dealing with emotional problems. Like
What is the album that they're recording in that movie?
Saint Anger.
That's the one?
Yeah.
The therapy movie. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I just wanted to make sure I had the time
Yeah.
correctly.
So
Okay,
it's
right on.
it's heavy, but it's very weird. And Lars decides on a very weird snare sound where you like on a snare drum you can turn it to like a different sound where there's like the snare sound and then there's the one that's more like a bell like dong, dong, dong.
Donk.
He does the whole fucking album with that sound.
Really?
And people fucking hate it. I love it.
Okay.
And then they go a few years later. So this is 2008. They come out with an album called Death Magnetic, which is kind of a return to form.
Never even heard of.
Yeah, where they kind of go back to some of the thrashiness, but also they bring like the technical and really long and kind of intricately sort of mapped out songs where it's like an 8-minute song, but it goes a lot of fucking different places. And it's a really great album. And so they make this return to form. This is my favorite part of this band's history. They make this return to form where people are like, Metallica are back. And the next album they put out is a collaboration with Lou Reed. And it is called Lulu.
Really?
Yes, it is called Lulu. And it is also considered one of the worst albums of all time.
Really?
So
Okay.
imagine this. Imagine you have, oh God, this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm going to send you songs from all these. And so, and as a fan, when I first heard the first track off of Lulu, which is the Lou Reed and Metallica album, I was like, "Oh my God, everyone's gonna hate this. I love it."
Okay.
And so, and because imagine like it's like Metallica's in a room playing these like sort of sludgy metalish riffs,
Sure.
And then a drunken Lou Reed just kind of walks in and he's just like, I cut your legs and tits off when I think of Boris Karloff. Like that's a line from the fucking album.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And so, but they didn't need to do that. Like they're such a big fucking rock band at that point. They could have coasted on doing the same shit over and over again. And they did not do that. Right. And then, so here's where it gets a little bit more like they're older now.
Okay.
And they put out 2 albums in a row. Hardwired to Self-Destruct is one of them. And then the newest one, which is called 72 Seasons. They've gotten a little more to where they've honed everything in and they have kind of like a sound that encapsulates like everything they've done. And they've done 2 albums kind of like that where the songs are good, but I don't think those albums are bringing in new fans. I think the new fans are still coming in from Master of Puppets and One and stuff like that. So they're at this point now where they're 60-year-old dudes. And so sure, they're still making really quality stuff in my opinion, but now they've settled into like this is what Metallica is now. But they've gone through this fucking huge journey that to just listen to Kill 'Em All or Master of Puppets, it doesn't really like explain for somebody like me that has like gone with them through this journey,
the whole thing. Sure,
and like I'll put on Kill 'Em All and I will get like goosebumps in certain areas where I go, oh, this song is so fucking amazing. But at the same time, I'm going to fucking put on the Lou Reed and Metallica album and I'm still going to be like, this is really cool. I love the fact that they're just like, fuck you. That's what the album sounds like to me. It sounds like them going, fuck you. Why are you going to tell us what to fucking do? And so, and that's been them since album number 2. Album number 2, they said to the thrash metal community, fuck you. Why are you going to tell us what we need to do? And so that's why I love them, because they've been that their whole career.
Okay.
So that was fun.
That was awesome.
What I want to do is I want to give you like a song or two from these different eras that kind of show you like where they went, because like they've gone in so many different areas and they've pissed off so many people that it just makes me love them even more. That's like I just like how many bands can you think of that put out, like Black Flag is a really great example, a band that puts out a fucking legendary album or legendary songs and also puts out stuff where people are like, fuck this.
No, totally.
But I think, in my opinion, this is just me, I think that everything Metallica has done has had such a high quality to it, even when they did something that went against what people wanted. So that's why they're my favorite band of all time. So
Gotcha. Great.
Thank you and good night.
Thank you and good night. Oh my God, has it been that?
No, we don't have to. We know we have almost 2 hours, but we don't got to call it yet.
Okay. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Thank you. Do we need to talk about Star Wars again?
Yes.
No, we don't have to. Okay, let's do.
If I was a Star Wars fan, like if movies were like my thing, Star Wars is kind of like a Metallica, where they really did go through like a slump of movies that a lot of people don't like, and then they kind of came back out with like, stuff that people were more interested in, but now they've come back out on top. Where like if Star Wars is touring arenas all the fucking time, they don't need to play clubs. Right. Anyway,
no, they don't. No,
the Cantina band is playing fucking arenas.
Song goes to my head every day. Every day. If I'm left alone, and you can ask anyone, you can ask Jessica, you can ask my daughter.
You want to know do you know the weird thing that gets in my head that I'll do sometimes?
What?
There's a scene in Return of the Jedi, and I think it's when they first, the Ewoks first capture R2 and C-3PO.
Yes.
And one of the Ewoks is doing this.
Yeah,
and that will get stuck in my head, and I'll just start doing that while I'm vacuuming, and my brain is like,
yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. So, when you say niche, when Star Wars was niche,
right? 90s.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
that happened. So like when we were true when we were when Star Wars was something that like changed your life,
Uh-huh.
when you were a person who that movie changed your life, the
Hmm.
only thing you had were the books. That's it. You just could read the books. Okay?
Well,
And so
they had toys, they had comics.
no, of course they did.
Yeah.
Yes, that they had comic books, but what you had was Splinter of the Mind's Eye. You
Oh,
know,
there was a Han
you start
Solo one.
there was there was yes that it told his backstory. It did
Yeah.
everything. You could read all the Han Solo adventures.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so Heir to the Empire. I'm talking
Oh,
like
I
this. So
remember that too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So they Thrawn, all that stuff was in there. So you read the books if you were a diehard fan, and you
Yeah.
had like two or three people that you knew that would also read the books, and you would
Yeah.
talk about it
If you were
because
a diehard fan, you also listened to the radio broadcast version of Star Wars. Did you ever hear that?
no, did they do? Was the real actors do it?
Yes. Look it up. They even included cut scenes from Star Wars that.
Are you okay?
My dog's barking.
Is he okay? Sounds like he's in pain.
He's an old guy. He's an old
Oh,
guy.
look at him!
He's old. Hi.
And you have 7 dogs now.
7 dogs. Can
Oh,
you
look
chill
at him
out?
be cute.
Can you chill out?
Look at him be cute. Well, did he have
Chill
a
out,
bad
buddy.
dream?
I don't know. He's like 10 years old and he gets weird. He has anxieties like me. So I just give
Is there
him some
another dog
scratches.
in the room?
No, just one. Just one.
And he just had a bad dream or something and just
He
woke up.
probably heard something outside. But yes, there's so there's the radio version of it. I think it. I don't know enough about it, but I think it came out before Empire Strikes Back. Like it was.
Okay.
They did a radio version, and they had the actors do just make an audio version of the movie. It's out there somewhere if you look it up.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Well, okay. So when you read the books, when you are a person who reads the books,
Uh-huh.
and you follow all these characters,
Yeah.
and you learn their timeline, it's very specific. George Lucas made a decision. It's oh man, we shouldn't talk about Star Wars anymore.
No, it's fine. It's
I
fine.
think he's freaking him out.
I'm just
But
trying to keep him calm.
George Lucas made a decision that there was a timeline, and
Yeah.
that you could write a story about anybody you want, but you couldn't do something that would have ultimately changed the trajectory of the character in the timeline.
But
And
has that now been fucked up with all the other movies and shit?
dude, okay. So this goes on for years.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
from the late 70s till whenever Disney bought Star Wars,
Mm-hmm.
which I got, okay, I thought, fine. They got a lot of money. They paid a lot of money.
Yeah.
George Lucas said they're going to protect my characters.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, fuck, Princess Leia is now a Disney princess. That started
She
to-
is.
I know. It started to hurt me because I realized that Star Wars was not a Disney product.
No.
And I didn't know that meant something to me until they were a Disney product. And then the shit started coming. And then they made an announcement that they were going to erase the extended universe, the EU is what it was called. And they were not going to go with the extended universe timeline anymore. And that none of the books counted. And then
If I was one of those authors, I'd be fucking pissed.
oh, dude. If you're one of those fans
Or
that,
that, yeah.
genuinely followed Star Wars with a certain level of sincerity
Yeah.
and a lot of enjoyment, and they just scrap it, and then they just start throwing movies out with like no connection to whatever. I was like, I'm out. I'm just done. And I'm
Yeah.
not mad at Star Wars for whatever mad at Disney for whatever people are nitpicking Disney for being, I don't care about woke. You can be woke and all that stuff. Fine. I don't care. I love it when you when you hire someone against cast. I love all that stuff. But
I love
will
it too. I love
absolutely
it too.
go to my grave hating Disney because they took Star Wars from me and they threw it in the garbage. I got rid of all my Star Wars shit. I just
Yeah.
gave it to this dude at a comic book store, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
done. And in a weird way, I was like, huh, I guess I'm kind of old to still be into Star Wars. So maybe I should be really, really lucky. You know what I mean? That this happened or whatever. But dude, I can't. Mm-mm, they
Yeah,
ruined it.
I can understand. I think when I was a kid, I seem to remember reading Shadows of the Empire. Was that in the 90s that one came out?
Heir of
Was
the
it
Empire.
Heir of the Empire? Is there a
Heir of the
Shadows one
Empire.
too?
Oh
Shadows of the
yeah. I mean,
Empire?
well, dude, all that stuff came out as books. Phantom Menace, and all that stuff came out before the
Yeah.
movies came out.
So
So yeah.
I didn't retain any of that stuff. So it's not. I don't remember any of it.
Well, dude, what does Yoda do to you when you see Yoda? What do you feel like when from the old movies when you saw Empire Strikes Back? Because you saw that one in no, you saw Return of the Jedi in the theater?
I did see Empire in the theater as well because the cool back in the day. I mean, I'm sure you remember this. There was going to be a new Star Wars movie, and so they re-released the first two movies in the theater. So I got to go see them in the theater in the early '80s.
Yes.
But they weren't like brand new or whatever.
Right.
But for me, Yoda is an old man. Is like
Right.
is a little old dude.
Right. But like, you know how like when he says, Luke, I am your father, and you hear that for the first time, and
Yes.
you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that was a huge twist, and it was a secret. And a movie really hadn't done that before to that effect, where it kept a major plot twist from you.
But it also opened up a huge can of worms where like it seems like so many movies and TV shows are like, no, I'm your son. No, I'm your sister. No, I'm your cousin.
Totally.
Fine, you're
Yeah,
related.
okay,
Get it?
fine. Okay, but yeah, Luke and Leia were brother and sister. You didn't know about that.
That was
a
too
little
far.
weird.
That went too far.
Okay, well, but again, because you only knew there was like a rumor mill
Yeah.
like that. How did Darth Vader get that way? Oh, Obi-Wan and him got into a lightsaber fight and he was thrown into a volcano. That's all you knew.
Yeah.
That's all you knew.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh, okay. And then the book came out and then it had the epic lightsaber battle in there. And then you find out that they're on that lava planet and then you fucking and so it's like, it was like trying to get, you could, like of all those rumors about Alice Cooper, where like he would,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? He
Yeah.
would bury kittens in the sand and then he'd run over their heads with a lawnmower. He never did any of that shit. There was a bunch of them. He played golf.
I would
with
be a bigger
Asian
fan if he
chicks.
did.
Oh, right. He was another one where like you go to the Alice Cooper show and everybody spits in a bucket and then he takes it on stage and he drinks the whole thing. I mean, there was all these rumors. That's all you had, There was
Yeah.
like a magazine with an article and a picture of him, but you didn't have anything, So, but like, dude, I don't need to belabor this, but like Yoda, when it turns out that the great Jedi master that Luke is looking for to get his training is a little frog, it was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he says, wars do not make one great, right? And all that stuff he said. And that whole trickery about how he comes in and he acts dumb, you know what I mean? And Luke he's expecting a warrior, and
Yeah.
he's this little frog guy or
Yeah.
whatever. And
Yeah.
then they like that whole thing, and then when he goes into that Jedi training stuff and he's talking about breathing and closing your eyes and connecting with the Force and you're not made of this crude matter, that's not who you are. And
Yeah.
then the Force becomes like a thing, not just a gimmick, but it
Yeah.
becomes like a trainable Zen oriented fucking like, telekinesis, telepathy Force.
Yeah.
Binds us and like that stuff when you are in when you're a kid and those concepts are not around,
Yeah.
that'll open up your I think I'm Buddhist today because of Yoda. Because that
yeah.
whole non-violent, don't take your weapons in there, right?
Yeah.
When he's like he's training
You'll not
him, he's
need
like,
them.
"Don't
Yeah.
yeah, you won't need them. And oh yeah, sure, okay, yeah, fine. And he takes him in there and all that shit. You know
And
what I
then
mean?
and then he says that really great line where he says, "What's in there?" And he says, "Only what you take with you."
And you're like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
There's so
Yeah.
many great scenes, even though like, with all the flaws of Return of the Jedi, there's some fucking I still get chills at the scene at the end of the movie when Darth Vader like picks up the Emperor and fucking just throws him down the
Throws him
fucking
in.
that I'm still just like I still feel like a little kid where I'm just like, oh my God, Darth Vader saved Luke. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it was killer.
Dude, it was awesome. And when he goes, sister,
Oh yeah.
and then Luke,
Yeah.
and then Luke is like, oh fuck, and he gets
Yeah.
mad, and he comes out with, it's like that lightsaber is a baseball bat. He's just trying to fucking club, and then his hand gets, you know what I mean? He's just, it's like and then that whole time that guy's like, the Emperor's like, yes,
And then
yes,
speaking of the niche '90s Star Wars, there's that amazing scene in Chasing Amy, the Kevin Smith movie,
Okay.
where the black comic book writer is like, at the end of Return of the Jedi, you see Darth Vader, Nubian god, struck down, and then it turns out that he is a feeble old white man. Under there. And I was like, yeah, it is kind of lame that it's not James Earl Jones under there. It's like this weird white dude.
Sure,
but I guess if
totally.
Luke is his son, you had to do that. It couldn't be James Earl Jones. But he could have just been like, you know what, your mom when I got freaky back in the day.
Totally. Yes, that could have been it. Totally.
I don't know.
But like, I really, okay. So leads to another very interesting point about you and I in our show. Who was on my wall last time?
Who was it?
Joseph Campbell. Do you know anything about Joseph Campbell?
Why does that sound familiar? Joseph Campbell.
He was a comparative religion scholar, and he wrote Hero with 1,000 Faces. And it was the epic journey of the hero's journey. And he was interviewed on PBS by Bill Moyers, who was a prominent news journalist person. Journalist. And there was the show was called Power of Myth. The Power of Myth, and there was, since Star Wars was so popular, they had a whole big section on Star Wars, and so I think because this dude,
I'm gonna let him go out.
You gotta let him out.
Hold on.
Okay, right on, dude. I'll just continue to talk to all the people out there in YouTube land. I want to thank you very much for allowing two older gentlemen to talk about stuff that probably shouldn't matter to them, really. They probably should have, I don't know, gone into medical school, learned how to cure and heal people, or maybe we could have just went into.
We've traded it in for another dog.
Oh, look at me!
This is Melvin. This is my best bud. What's up, Melvin?
Dude, what's up, Melvin? Oh, because of the Melvins.
Oh no, my wife made up the name, and I just loved it. So
Okay.
Anyway, so the guy was Joseph
Campbell.
Joseph Campbell. And who is on the wall today?
Oh, well, that's we're gonna have to talk about that next time.
Hold on, Jesus Christ!
Wow, you got a lot of beard in that.
I'm all wound up.
That's nice. Oh, it's like your beard is a puppet. I'll tell you next time.
I have no idea who that is.
No idea? None? Okay, great. It's okay.
It's a female.
It is a female.
Female, and
Oh, how can I get her closer?
It's I don't know. You can take it off the wall and like put it in front. I don't know. Anyway,
next time we can talk about it. Okay, but Joseph Campbell did this, and he's in my Trinity. I have three people in my life who, if I had to come up with my own, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, if I had to come up with my own Trinity, I've got, fucking Malcolm X, dude. The dude was like, and not enough can be said for his arc.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Yeah. Exactly, dude. Fucking Bruce Lee, because there's there's the pure physical. It can't be understated what he birthed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell he's the religious and spiritual aspect of this trinity that I have or whatever.
Oh
And
man,
so if you'll notice, it was Malcolm, Bruce Lee, and then Joseph Campbell, and now I'm on to this lady right here who I
Okay.
love dearly. But
Okay.
uh, we'll talk about it next time, if there is a next time.
Oh, shut up. Uh, like what am I now? I'm all like, who's my holy trinity when it comes
Yeah,
to
dude.
those kind of
Okay,
things?
okay. Who would it be?
Who would it be?
So like if you had like because Malcolm X to me is the pure essence of politics and living with life.
Yeah.
It's so do you have a physical person? Because that's usually the easiest one to come up with. Like a very athletic physical person that did something.
No, because I've never been into sports or anything like that.
Well, Bruce Lee is not.
But can I say Henry Rollins because he's
Oh,
he's a
'cause
big
he
ass
was- yeah.
he's been in shape.
Yes. Yes.
He
you
is,
can.
but he is
Yes.
a hero of mine. So
Right.
I would say,
Yes.
and it's music related.
Sure. Sure.
And so, but yeah, and I feel like, so I feel like that he would be one. This is like on the spot. I'm like, who the fuck?
Oh, I like this though. But okay, so when you get spiritual, who speaks to you of spirituality?
But I'm not spiritual at all.
Do you think that you have an essence inside of you that's really you, or that was around before your body was here and will be here after your body is gone?
I don't see how that is possible.
Okay. So what about your consciousness? Do you like not your brain, but your mind?
I feel like it's all luck. I feel like a lucky person. And because as soon as I start saying that like my essence is special and made me who I am, I look at somebody else and I go, well, why did it fuck them over? Like why did I feel like it's all luck. I don't know. So I don't really know. So my heroes are not like there's nothing spiritual that I can think of somebody that's like, yeah, gee, this is really hard. I feel like
Right.
I feel like this is like for another episode.
Okay, well, great.
I really need to like think about this because like it's got to be like there's with the people that I look up to, there's got to be a certain number of things that I align with because I like people that kind of just do things for themselves, like make change in their life or do something important and kind of go against the grain and create something. And then I also really admire, like I said about Rollins, like I admire the journey of trying to be a better person all the time. And I just don't know who those people would be. So
Right.
I'll have to get back to you on that because
Okay,
I
please do.
know that there are people that I look at and I admire who they are and their who they are as a person has sort of pushed me into like, well, you admire this about them. Why don't you try?
Right.
Why don't you
Bring
try
it
that?
into your own life.
Yeah. But it's different because there's no political figures that have ever like spoken to me in a way where I felt like they were talking to me. I feel like they're never talking to me. I'm like, I feel like I'm an anomaly in everything, in every respect. Yeah, this is hard. Let's move on because it's going to be just me sitting there thinking for like
No,
an
it's
hour.
okay. Well, yeah, but I mean, this is um the human struggle or the human experience or the
Yeah.
what a lifetime is or what a series of lifetimes are or your ability to like what is in your heart, like
Yeah.
what motivates you, what makes you the greater good or whatever, like what is the thing that you have to offer, or what is
Yeah.
it, and I mean, I, I mean, that's why I like the Buddhist thing so much,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, no, you can do it. You just have to work on it.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
you
but
don't have to be divine. There's no divinity involved in it. It's like, no,
yeah,
seriously, ask yourself some
I
questions and give yourself some answers.
I feel like when with in respect to religions, Buddhism has more that I can latch onto than others, but it seems like a lot of those religions all end up having some point where I go, that's kind of far fetched, and I can't get into
Okay,
that.
like
So, but
okay,
so isn't Buddhism the one where there's a lot about like reincarnation or something like that? Isn't that big in
well, yeah,
Buddhism?
yeah, but I mean, the it's to be, and this is what I think is so funny about the whole woke thing, is that, the Buddha is the awoken one. He's the one
Yeah,
who is awake.
yeah.
You come awake, right?
Yeah. Well, and
And
and well, and the woke thing is fucking stupid because it's it's
you
it's
want to be woke.
it's people not understanding that woke is actually a positive thing.
It's just positive. Yeah, it's
Because
positive.
it
Yeah,
but
even
like that
right.
we don't live in that kind of country anymore where like
Well, right.
there are people that understand what it actually means, and then there's
Yes.
everybody else that thinks that woke is just the fact that they made Little Mermaid black.
Sure. No, totally. Totally. Right. Well, and these are great points. And we're at a juncture or a junction in our, as a country,
Yeah,
as a culture, where we're going to have to do some different shit. I mean, we're going to have to. And a lot of times adversity is what brings that out of people. And a
yeah,
lot of times in the darkest hour is when the whatever comes it comes something comes from an obtuse angle that you don't expect, and
yeah,
it hits everything, and it spins it off a balance, and then the whole thing falls apart, whereas you used to think it was impossible to
yeah,
make the changes, but the changes will come.
yeah,
And that's the whole thing with Malcolm X, like his entire trajectory from his parents were, his childhood through his, I mean, and then to go all the way to eloquent speaker, and go on his journey, and and become and be who he
because
was absolutely.
he
Go ahead.
became Buddhist, right? Was that his religion
No,
thing?
Muslim.
Muslim,
Islam.
that's what it
Islam.
was.
Yeah, Islam.
Because that was
Yeah,
like I was after he went to prison or something, and then he read a bunch, and then I saw the
yes.
movie.
No,
So
yeah, no, and the movie was very close. Yeah, no, it was very close.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I love that movie.
It was a great movie.
But yeah, that's another thing. Another movie conversation for another time is
Right on.
Spike Lee movies, which I very much enjoy.
Yes, same.
In
Same.
general, I like I admire Spike Lee, but I don't connect with him because like I haven't had that kind of life or whatever. But I admire people who do music or movies who are outspoken and don't give a shit and are just going to say whatever they're going to say and make whatever they're going to make.
Right.
And if somebody has a problem with it,
Right.
or it's about a subject matter that they're like, well, we don't need to be talking about this. And it's like, well, why not? Why aren't we talking about this? You know?
Yeah, why aren't we talking about
Yeah.
we
So,
are actually, we probably should be talking about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
know, I'm really going to start thinking about like my holy trinity, like who they would be, like the people because I could be really because there's people that have inspired me,
Right?
but I'm not going to put Kurt Cobain in my holy trinity. But
Okay.
he did have things about him that I admired because
Yeah.
he was my gateway into wanting to be a musician,
Yeah.
and I
Right.
also admired him because he was outspoken about the things that I was experiencing too, which was about like the jock culture and
Yes.
homophobia and about how fucking fucked up it is.
Yep.
And so, he would say stuff where I'd be like, that's great that he's like, he's technically a rock star, but he's still gonna like, not gonna take any fucking shit. And so like, I admire him, but like with a person like him, I go, well, what would he have become, 30 years later? Like, would he continue down that path?
Right.
Or
I think he probably would have.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation, but I mean, like, what does a person with his, who was it that was like, why does everyone get so sad when rock stars die? Like maybe they just ran out of shit. And they don't have any more shit. You know what I mean? Like they were really good for a while, and all the shit came out. It was awesome. You loved it, but then they just run out of shit, and then you think, oh well, they must have just been. They would keep putting out records that were really great. Well, not really, because not very many people do that. You know what I mean? Like you and I have, like you've decided to follow Metallica and listen to all those albums, even the ones that you know what I mean. And I'm doing the same with Iggy Pop or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, whatever, but I mean, Kurt Cobain, I don't know. His politics were like he probably would have. I mean, I think there would have just been. I mean, he never really got to live through a backlash. He never got to live through an album where everyone was like, "That album totally fucking sucks."
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
But also, I really believe that you don't truly become your fully formed self until you're in your 30s. I think in your 20s you're still stumbling through stuff a little bit, and he died at 27. So I'm like, who would he have been in his 30s? And he could have just continued to grow as a person like that, but like there are people. It happens every day where some person comes out and says something super bigoted and you're like, them? Like, right. Where did that come from? Right. And so it's like, I can't put so much faith in my idea of somebody. I need them to, unfortunately, have been around for a long part of their life for me to still look at them and go, hey, you're now like, I keep bringing up Rollins, but he's a good example because he's still alive. He's a 60-year-old man or whatever. And I can still look at him and go, you're still admirable to me.
Right.
So it's that kind of thing where it's just like,
how many people, oh, I'm sorry. I broke in. What were we going to say?
No, but you're right. That's a good point. Like how many people have done that? Like, like how old was Bruce Lee when he died?
He was young. I can't remember exactly, but he was young.
Yeah.
He was very young.
And then Malcolm X, also pretty young.
Yes. Yeah. Prematurely.
So maybe I can put Kurt Cobain in my list then, because if you're going to put put them in your list, then because he was important to me in that sort of anti. You don't need to be a particular way. Like you can be in a rock band that sells millions of records and you don't have to be this kind of person, which is like how I feel about music in general. I feel like you can be into, this crazy ass, loud ass metal, annoying music, but you can also be a caring, empathetic individual. And, so maybe I'd put him in there. I don't know. I will think about it though. I feel like this is run out of steam because I keep going. I don't know. I'll think about it.
I don't know. I think it's because your bottle's empty.
This is just the chain.
I got it. Hey man. Okay. So I got to wrap it up because it's been over 2 hours and we usually stop at about this time, but I got to ask you got a new dog over there on your shelf. There's that dog is newer, right?
I found these in a thrift shop. Look, these are bookends.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, and they're on books.
Yeah. The next time we do this, you're going to see a shelf right here because I've run out of room for records. So I bought a new shelf today that's going to go here, and I'm going to put like my books on the shelf, and I'm going to put the dogs on either side.
That's a window, though, correct?
Yeah, but I don't need it.
I don't need the damn thing. Thank you very much.
Here's the thing: what do you need more, a window or more room for records? Then that's an easy question.
Okay, dude. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
I'm telling you, this whole thing is full. I have a shelf over here
Yep.
that has like books and DVDs and other stuff, and I've started to move the records there, but I finally gotten to the point where I don't have any more. It's literally, I have to start getting rid of stuff. So I need to have a new shelf.
okay.
So,
Hey, guess what? Watch this.
Is this the first drink that you've taken of that? Chug it.
No. Right on. I did it. I stayed with the bit the whole time.
Holy shit. And now it's
some
warm.
dedication.
Just some
it
warm.
Is. It's horrible. It tastes so bad. That's why I didn't chug it, that or I'd be burping too. But anyway, dude, thank you for this.
Thank you for joining us for the Star Wars episode of Someone's Bottom.
Now we're at the bottom. This is so good. Okay. Right.
Join us next time when I force Mark to listen or Smurl.
That's okay.
I've tried to start to call you Smurl because it's okay. It's because I call you Mark when I talk to my wife. My wife thinks we're adorable. She's all like,
good.
She's like, you
Jessica
guys are besties.
Yeah, Jessica likes us too. She likes us. Yeah, just charming. It's nice.
But I'm seriously going to put together like a Metallica sort of like timeline, like a little list of songs.
Okay.
To listen to.
So doing the whole albums at a time is not gonna.
No, not albums.
Because like you and I are album listeners.
But
song arrangement, flow.
But I think to get the idea, I think it's more important to zoom out.
Oh, okay.
And then if there's something in there that interests you, that's when you zoom in.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you made a playlist on Spotify and I downloaded Spotify.
Don't do Spotify, do Apple Music.
Why Apple Music?
Because they pay more money to the artist than Spotify does. I don't know. Spotify doesn't pay anybody shit. It's awful. But
okay.
I can just make a YouTube. Okay. I can make a
That's
YouTube
fine.
playlist.
Yeah. Okay. I wish you could make me a cassette.
I mean, technically I could. I just have to mail it to you when I'm done.
Perfect.
I have to buy some blank cassettes.
Oh, you know what? I think I have some blank cassettes. I'll mail you a cassette.
I could just go to Amazon and get blank cassettes. They sell them.
No, I already got them. They're in the wrapper and everything. I've been saving them for years.
Well, how about we start with a YouTube playlist of songs?
Okay. Okay. You're not going to burn me a CD?
I don't have a burner. I do have a CD burner actually.
Oh, look at that.
But I used to love making mixtapes so much, man.
It's the best.
Loved it. Anyway, but like I remember when I was, before we go, just because this thought went into my head.
Yeah.
In the early 2000s, they sold console CD burners. Like it wasn't for a computer, it was like for a stereo. And I bought one of those just to make mixes because the thing that I loved about using a console CD burner, it worked like a tape player where you paused it and unpaused it. But my favorite thing about it was the input. You could adjust the volume, so the volume of all songs would be exactly the same. So there wasn't that thing where you're playing a song like by the Beatles and it's all, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like, sorry guys. But I loved that about it so much that I was like able to like put together these great CDs. And the volume, you could literally just look at the little level, and I'm like, okay, That's perfect. And then I would be like, I'd make these perfect CDs that I gave out to like friends and girlfriends, and they probably threw them all away.
Sure. They're probably in a landfill by this point.
God damn it.
I know, God damn it.
What were we doing before? Oh yeah. So I'm gonna make I'm gonna make you that Metallica thing, and then next time we'll at least devote a little time of like I just want to get your thoughts on the variety of where they go.
That's totally fine.
Because because there are some songs that like are like I'm gonna even say like you're not gonna get it. Master of Puppets is not gonna be there. Neither is One. Okay. It's just gonna be songs that you've heard those, but also I feel like it's very important to point out the different things they did, because I think that's what makes them. That's what makes them an important band to me, because everybody knows Master of Puppets, everybody knows One. So when you hear these other songs, I feel like that gives you another idea of like, oh, this is that same band that did this. Right. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put that together. And same thing for you. If you want to make a Talking Heads playlist and really like try to get me into
wow. So but you're an expert at Metallica, and I'm not an expert at Talking Heads, but okay.
Well, who's your Metallica? Is it Iggy Pop, or is there a band?
Yeah, but you like Iggy Pop, don't you?
I do. I've seen I saw Iggy Pop. Is Iggy Pop? Yeah, that's Tupac and Iggy Pop.
Yeah, Tupac and Iggy together. Iggy Pop. It was nice. Yeah, that's very nice. Yeah.
I was 10 feet away from Iggy Pop at a concert. I think I probably told that story. I don't really remember.
I think you did.
Did I?
You did. Anyway. But you can tell it again if you want to, but not now because we got to get out of here.
We got to get the fuck out of here. I think you. What?
Who's the dude who leaves the really long comments in the comment section?
I'm really bad with names. You're lucky that I remember yours.
I am too, because he does his computer stuff, and he does his chores and stuff around the house.
Yes. And he listens
to us, and he's funny. And my favorite part about him is that he was not into us in the beginning, but then he got into us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And honestly, I want to give a thank you to anybody that made it this far and listened to it. But on top of that, if there are people that did show up for the Star Wars and stayed for the rambling.
Right. That's right.
May the Force be with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess, and I would also like to say, may the Force be with you. And I would like to say thank you to Matt Roberts, because if he wouldn't have had that thing, you wouldn't have done your video, and we would not be here right now. And this is awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And here we are, and we're best buds. Look at us.
Yep, best buds.
I'm sorry, Melvin. You're also my best bud. I gotta tell my dog that. He's Smurl's the human bud.
Right.
Human bud.
Okay, man.
All right, cool.
Did we say goodbye to everybody?
We're saying goodbye to everybody, and then we'll talk after that. Because
sure. Okay, right.
Behind the scenes. But all right. Okay. Thank you for listening, watching Someone's Bottom, and we'll see you next time. And I feel like I want to do a sign off thing. Like, in the meantime, everybody keep striving for the greater good.
Yeah.